episode 457 of the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Ian, and this is the only podcast that says,
Boy, this has been a clusterfuck.
nice.
Yeah.
Good.
We announced last week, we announced it for a few weeks, we were supposed to record at the Nerd Corner today. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, we were not able to record there today, which created a complete and total clusterfuck of a situation because we have Jamal from Uncle Jammy here to talk not only nerd, but food.
Food? Yeah.
And we love food. Jamal, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Welcome.
Thank you. Sean, Ian, it's great to be here. They can't see me, but I'm a 300 plus pound man, so you know I love food.
No.
And there you go. I trust you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If there's one thing I trust is a fat man who talks food.
Yes.
You know, because I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So I know.
Well, my doctor doesn't want me to be one anymore.
No, exactly.
So, you know, we'll have to take a picture as I try to lose some weight here. At least still have the memory.
Yeah.
You know,
Of your
that.
former self.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
once. How hard is okay? Like, I worked in the restaurant industry for a long time, but at the time I didn't have a car, so I was walking to and from work. And like, how hard is that? Because I mean, you're dealing with, you know, meat. Like that's your.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's different now. You know, working in the restaurant. Well, we got to separate everything from working. You know, traveling like Ian said he does, and working directly at a restaurant for a boss, and then working for yourself.
Right.
They're
like-
all totally different. I mean, working for your you get worked to death, you know, and you don't really have time to sit and eat like in a restaurant and stuff like that. And working for yourself, and then getting, you know, like working from home and everything else like that, totally different because now, you know, you've got to be kind of that motivated guy kind of working from
Right.
home. So the food stuff has definitely changed. You know, I kind of get caught up on, you know, trying to improve one recipe at a time. So I'll eat mac and cheese repetitively for a month straight because I'm trying to
perfect it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but you know, talking to all the nerds out there, you know, I went from being somebody who didn't write down anything to now I can't make a recipe where I don't write down and weigh everything.
Sure.
And
sure.
so you kind of evolve along the process, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, in the beginning, you're trying to do everything.
Right.
And I think that's what you're getting at, is when you're dealing with everything. So you're doing, you know, this or that, brisket, pulled pork, chicken, like kibasi.
Right.
In the beginning you're trying to do that. But then you kind of come through that keyhole and you learn about, you know, business, and you got to perfect one thing at a time. That's why I did mac and cheese
Right.
like a whole bunch of times. You know, because you got to do it while it's fresh and you know it's in your mind.
Right. Strike
so
while the iron's hot.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to mess up a lot, so you get tired, you know, of doing stuff. So the more you do, the quicker you get through that 10,000 hours of being a master. That's when something alerts you. You know, and I'm guessing that's the same thing in the nerd realm as well, because there's a lot of nerdy stuff to go along with barbecue sauce formulation, recipes in general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's a science.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I you know, we're good friends with the, you know, Big Rig Barbecue, and like you could, it's a science to what, you know, how long you smoke a meat, what seasonings you're putting on that meat, how, you know, and it's you know, it's the same with all that type of stuff. Like it's an absolute science on how do you get the taste that you're looking for, compared to, you know, somebody else just saying, oh, that's just bullseye. You know, no, it's not. This is why. You know.
Well, yeah, you can tell whether that's something, you know, the smoke is sauce based or it's permeating the meat, that kind of thing. All those different things, yeah. So I mean,
different aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean about like working. I could see where I think like from a weight issue, I would probably gain more working from home and eating than working on a line and just grazing for 8 hours or 10 hours. Because that's what I call it, grazing. Because
Yeah.
I used to line cook. I line cooked for how long? Forever.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
And
but you don't sweat as much as you do at home, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing I did for restaurants was a server, and back at that time, you know, with the right diet, you know, you can lose a lot of weight because you're just constantly moving. At home, you know, you're sitting down. I got my not plugging anything, but I got my Books Note Air over here out. You know, kind of, it's my notepad. I'm trying to kill less trees, but you still got to do something. But it's the same thing. You got the notebook open, you know, and you're just sitting down and you're like writing ideas. Nobody's barking at you to move back and forth.
Right.
And I only mention that because anybody who knows my shtick knows that at the restaurants I always kept a notebook handy.
Right.
So like I've got notebooks and notebooks, which I'd pull out, which I wouldn't take like notes. I'd take anything that popped in my head business wise. You know, I'd write it down in a notebook kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I've got random notebooks with just random ideas. You know, people have laughed, you know, because I let close, you know, friends read, and it's the musings of a madman, because it's like part fanfic, part business. Like it's like somebody with, what's that movie with James McAvoy? Split.
Yeah.
It's basically like you handed him a notebook and you were reading
The different personalities.
yeah, exactly, because it's all over, because it's different kind of business ideas, life ideas, life goals. It's literally whatever pops into my head so I don't forget it. And you know, it's that kind of stuff. A lot of funny like skits I would just try to write out in the beginning. So there's comedy. You know, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. That's why this is perfect. Because I would concept for episodes. You know,
That's cool.
That's kind of stuff.
It's almost like a book of dreams. Like
Pretty much, you're just not letting, that's another. I guess that was my kind of way of not letting, anything get to me. You know, like not letting the kind of extinguish the dream. You know, if you just keep, writing those notes, your brain never kind of trails off and you don't kind of fall asleep. I would have said like red pilling it, but I guess the alt-right ruined that. So
yeah.
I guess, but it's that kind of thing where you just don't want to fall asleep. And I kind of did that, and I've kind of been going over, I just recently transcribed some of the notes that I had from way back, just for Star Trek. I've just been trying to put it back in to this.
Yeah.
And I started in about, this is going way back, probably, 97, 98. I did start trying to write an Academy series, but I just wrote down like concepts and stuff like that. But I have a notebook back at home where I was starting to flesh out the aliens we were going to see. It was going to be set probably after I'm a DS9 fan.
Okay.
So it was probably going to be set after that. And I was looking at all the races. I was going to bring in new races and stuff like that. And so I was like transcribing that, and in high school, the main character, I picked out, somewhere. I was just like, maybe we can go with like an Indian lead or something like that. And then I was looking at my notes, and because I picked it back up like briefly when I lived in State College, and I kind of copped out because like now the lead's name is like Aaron. I kind of whitewashed. I don't know what happened, but it was kind of, I felt kind of bad in that moment because I went one way. I went away from what I wanted to do like in high school, because it was a pure choice.
Right.
At that time, I wasn't thinking I want to like make a political statement. I was just like, I wanted to see another group win, like Indians, like wonder what an Indian guy kind of would do in that captain's chair, or not even captain's chair, just in the academy, just
Right.
How would he navigate it? And I kind of took that moment away. But, you know, in the writings, the bones are still there for the good stories. I kind of, and some of the concepts are fun, but some of them are repetitive. A few of them actually kind of have been not so much co-opted, but they kind of hit on them. I mean, there's been 4 or 5 series since the original writing and like fleshing out all the episodes. So
yeah.
I was looking. I got up to about 60, you know, like paragraph kind of concepts.
Oh, that's kind of
So
cool.
yeah,
Nice.
60-ish. I'd say about, you know, and this is stuff building on somebody. You know, I'd say maybe 19 to 20 are pretty good concepts, but you got to take into account how much we've seen and how little of the world I'd seen at, you know, 16, 17.
Right.
That kind of thing, you know, because there's, and I didn't want to do this early, but, you know, it kind of, I'm bashing the new Star Trek already, but it just kind of seems like the same concepts they were doing, like I was interested with at like 16, 17, is just all blowed up, kind of just,
Yeah.
you know, we're all going to die, explosions kind of thing. Don't want to be negative, I want to be positive, you know, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about your business, but we're going down the Star Trek rabbit hole right now, so let's just dive in head first.
Yeah.
Like, you and I were talking before Ian showed up, before we started recording, like, you know, I don't want to say you dislike the newer stuff, but you certainly don't have it, like, it's not as beloved as DS9 to you, clearly.
Let's put it, I am a Star Trek fan,
Right.
so I'm going to watch Star Trek regardless.
Right.
It's like pizza, you know, even the bad ones are good. It's just, I have some suggestions, you know. I do go into some of the new Star Trek and just feel kind of disheartened. We haven't talked about my feelings of Picard. The Picard series I absolutely loathe.
Okay.
Wow.
I absolutely loathe it. At least the first season. I refer to that metaphorically as a Hot Pocket. And basically what I mean by that is we all remember when we've microwaved a Hot Pocket where it's both molten hot in spots and ice cold in others.
Right.
That was the first season of Picard for me because it was both boring and full of explosions. And so that's that for me.
Now, do you think part of that is, you know, Patrick Stewart's 80?
No,
Like, I mean,
no,
like
no.
honestly, like, I mean,
Or
it's
is
hard.
it the writing that you...
Like, it's hard. I would imagine it's got to be hard to write an action adventure series around
Well, see, here's the thing.
a guy that old.
Star Trek was never an action show.
No, it
It was
wasn't.
an adventure show
Yeah.
with some action. And now, you know, like Alex Kurtzman, J.J. Abrams, they're like, let's flip the switch. I was watching something that made me angry earlier today because he kept mentioning Game of Thrones. I've never seen the show. I'm probably going to hold a grudge against it now. But I think that's what they wanted. They wanted... Because I watched Major Grin, or I guess he changed his name to Nitpicking Nerd, but he kind of showed the parallels. Like, they ripped... In Star Trek Discovery, they ripped a scene, and it's literally scene from Game of Thrones. It's Pedro Pascal and the Mountain, and it literally goes scene for scene. And I didn't even I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but it was like, I couldn't believe it, because he, like, played it beat for beat, and it's something you can't copy, because it's a fight scene, and Pedro Pascal's about to kill the Mountain, but he's like, don't die yet, and then, you know, it goes back and forth, and then both scenes reverse. I don't need to say spoiler, because Game of Thrones is over.
Right.
And then it reverses, and then both the guys on the other side end up winning, and end up saying a person's name, because the whole scene, the guy was like, you say her name, the guy that ends up losing. And I'm just like, wow, I couldn't believe that. Because one of my gripes was, especially with Discovery, unimaginative writing and stuff like that. Nonsensical science. Yeah, so I mean, Discovery is more missed chances. I would say it'd be a good. If I were under oath, I would say Star Trek Discovery would be a good science fiction show if you didn't have the Star Trek name, because they get a lot of the Trek stuff wrong, and the member berries are misplaced. So if they didn't try to be Star Trek, like if they just ran it back
as a science fiction show.
As a science fiction show, it'd be like a C+ science fiction show.
Okay.
But it would be a C+ science fiction drama. But as a Trek show, it is. I say it's failing.
Okay.
We both love Discovery, but we're also, first and foremost in our hearts is Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but you guys also have the Mandalorian and now
right.
Book of Boba Fett. So
right. But but I love Star Trek as well.
Yeah.
Like the Enterprise is my second favorite ship. The movie version of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
With the square nacelle.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite version of the ship. I love ship designs and like that version of the Enterprise. So, my love, like I saw the motion picture in a theater.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's delve into.
My mother was a huge Trekkie.
Right.
My mom watched it.
Exactly.
But
let's delve
watch
into
it on the original series.
Like Discovery, the difference is like I understand what they're trying to do.
Right.
And I also know, like, I can't be ungrateful. That's why I did the pizza analogy. Because even the bad stuff is good. Mm. What Discovery has done, and even Picard, as I roll my eyes, they brought in more money.
Right.
And I can't poo-poo that. I'm just kind of voicing my displeasure.
Right.
But let's go. Why do you guys? No, I don't just like why you guys, but let's kind of go over why you guys love it, and maybe I can kind of share my disappointments.
Well, like first of all, I always felt the ship itself, in its original setting, bothered me. Like the spore drive being pre-Kirk, I was like, this makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like how would this have taken off by the time Kirk is captain?
Right.
Yeah.
And I liked how they we got rid of the ship, sent to the future, where now the spore drive does make more sense.
Yeah.
I think like watching the first season of Discovery, outside of my gripe of like, well, the spore drive makes no sense in this time period. There was something about, first off, Lorca is the captain.
Yeah.
Like we were just like,
yeah.
This guy's phenomenal. And you get the twist of him being from the mirror universe. I thought the mirror, it struck a chord with me. Like it didn't feel like Star Trek per se, but it felt like Star Trek, but it had more of the action adventure than just being an adventure. Okay?
Right, yeah.
Which is what I like. I think season 2 was very good. It had problems. I'm not going to say it's perfect, by any stretch. Yeah. Season 3, I thought, went off the rails a little bit. Well, not a little, a lot, especially when you find out, it's this kid was, he's got a connection to the dilithium. That's what caused the burn. Like, I was like, oh, this feels too raw.
I didn't enjoy that season as much as...
Yeah. But this season, I've enjoyed a lot so far. Like, it feels like it got back to season 1. But, again, I love Star Trek. I don't have... I like The Next Generation, but I thought it was boring. I like Deep Space Nine, the Cardassian War. Good God, I thought that was fantastic storytelling. I think overall, Deep Space Nine is probably the best show that they did.
Well, you're gonna ignite it.
Yeah,
you're gonna ignite a war
Yeah, I know. I don't care because I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
not
deep in that.
You
that
start it
fan base.
up and you get to go home.
Exactly. But I do. I love. Deep Space Nine. Like I thought, Avery Brooks as the captain. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought the cast. Like I like it. There was always a divisiveness amongst the crew. They were never. They came together when they absolutely needed to, but overall they really weren't all that fond of each other that much. You know, as a whole, we're like, we're Roddenberry. Like his rules were like, everybody loves everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, okay. I want to hear a little bit more from Ian about Discovery, and then I'm going to kind of delve in to where it just kind of went off the rails. I just want to...
Sure. Going back to my background, watching Star Trek with Mom was religious.
Yeah.
My mom was a big Trek fan, and my mom was huge reader.
Yeah.
My mom read. I mean,
Yeah.
it was crazy the amount of stuff she read, especially science fiction and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she just loved the series, and so every movie that came out, we went and saw.
Yeah.
It was just rite of passage. New Star Trek movie. I
Yeah.
think the last one she went to, you went with us.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, before she's passed. But, so I grew up watching, and I don't know. I never went into. I don't think I liked it as much as she did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I've never been. Like I said, Sean kind of hit it on the mark. Star Wars came to be when, and that was, we were just at the right age. And, but I never really compared it because I always thought it was apples and oranges. You know what I mean? It's an apple and orange type of thing. But when I saw like a few of the movie series I did like, my favorite character, I know, but I'm not, my favorite character was Spock. I always loved Spock.
Yeah.
He was my favorite. But we watched all the movies, and then finally Discovery came out, and Mom started watching Discovery with me that first season.
Yeah.
Long story short, she had dementia. It was really bad, Lewy body dementia, and so sometimes I'd watched episode 3-4 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we got through that first series. It only took us about a year to get through it, but we got through that first season. And she liked it, but she still said, I still like the old one better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how she was. Now, I liked Discovery because I liked more of that action. You know what I mean? And I liked delving into stuff that Mom never taught me, Klingon and stuff like that, and I like going down that route. But like I said, I was never that into it to where I don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as when they came out with the movies, I did like the movies just because I liked more of the action.
Yeah.
I felt that some things didn't really match up for me as far as character-wise.
Yeah.
Like some of the characters were like just kind of off. I did like Pine as Kirk, but other pieces of the puzzle were kind of like, it just doesn't match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those characters just didn't come to be for me.
Yeah.
Spock wasn't really the same, probably because he was my favorite character. So it's hard to live up to that character when you're trying to reboot something.
Yeah.
And it just never worked for me.
Yeah.
But I did like Pine as Kirk.
Yeah.
But I think I liked Pine as Kirk because I didn't really... My favorite character was Spock.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Shatner as much as I did Spock. I found Spock much more of an interesting character.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. But I did like Discovery. The third season of Discovery was okay, but it let me down big time.
Yeah.
First two were pretty good, and I've enjoyed this last season.
Yeah.
I like what's his name from Engineering.
Yeah, Anthony Rao.
Yeah, I like his acting. I like how they're doing that, and
see, that's the thing.
there's parts of it that I really like.
Yeah, that's the thing, and we gotta kind of unpack a whole different thing. Like, a lot of people think when you say you don't like Discovery, or in my case, when I say I loathe Picard, which we'll save that for a little bit later. But Discovery, yeah, the actors are doing. They're all people I really love, and if we get into it, People have done it better. The nitpicking nerd, he deconstructed a couple things because he doesn't. I mentioned him because he doesn't seem like he's malicious when he's like picking things apart.
Okay.
Because he actually just like, I really love this, and he's kind of doing the same thing I'm going to do right now and say, this let me down because I was expecting this. Like,
right.
But Red Letter Media, those guys, if you ever get a chance, because that's who I saw it. Those are the first people I stumbled upon who talked about like Star Trek after I watched Discovery, and I was just like distraught. It kind of made me laugh because they were kind of going over Discovery, and like watching Mike and Rich on that show kind of just go through the same pain helped me out a little bit, because they can kind of help you if you watch all their stuff like chronologically when there was kind of a split. Mike hates the the TNG movies. He hated all of them, even Generations. But if you want to really go back, there was even a split, even from like Insurrection, and then it kind of gotten widened with Nemesis, just because of like the producers pumping in actions for the broad crowd. Mm-hmm. Now what happened is Picard tried to pick up on that Data kind of dying thing and going off with that storyline. Discovery, done by almost the same company. It really, for me, I was excited about the new show when it first came out. That's why I kind of treat this a little differently. It's because when it first came out, it was great. I gave every season a try. Season 2, like you guys said, was great until the end. Anson Mount was, fantastic.
Yeah,
right.
We both agree with that one.
Unbelievable, and he worked really well with Sonequa.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. If that had been the show we were given from day one, I'd probably be a Discovery fan.
So, are you looking forward to Strange New Worlds because of Anson Mount and everything that's going to kind of encompass and not be? It's going to be more episodic and not overall story arc.
I'm coming in with open mind.
Okay.
Which is different from people who just hate straight out, hate Star Trek. But you have to remember, and by the way, I don't hate everything about New Trek. I really loved the second season of Lower Decks. Lower Decks grew on me because I didn't really understand it, but it's like a comedy series that kind of just throws stuff out there, but it actually had an overarching story.
Right.
And it got really, the second season's amazing. And
Lower Decks amazes me because it pokes fun at, but pays homage to at the same time.
Yes.
And it does it really well.
Yes. And it tells a coherent story.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything for season 2 because that's season 2 was really well. But just the second to last episode was just unbelievable because they told 4 different storylines and they all synced up.
Yeah, that was a really
it was
extraordinarily well done episode. Yeah. I was like, I can't believe they pulled this shit off.
I was surprised, and that's the difference between that and that's because Mike McMahon is an uber I would give anything to have Seth MacFarlane and Mike McMahon write a Star Trek series because that thing would be amazing. I don't know if there's a parallel for Star Wars, but to have because it would be like the Mandalorian times the Empire Strikes Back because those two in there, they really love and understand the little things.
Right.
Let's go back.
So you're a fan of the Orville, then I take it.
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
love the Orville.
Yeah,
I'm ready for season 3. I can't believe that the best Star Trek isn't even our Star Trek right now.
Right.
It's the Orville.
Yeah.
They took all the people. You look at all the space battles. All the Orville space battles, so much better. The cast and crew. is a Star Trek crew.
Yeah.
And the stories. The stories are better. You don't need... Like, I kind of thought this. What if the spore drive just didn't work? Like, and the ship just couldn't go anywhere? Like, how many episodes could these writers for Discovery get through before the show would just end? Like, that was my new... Like, that's the test that came to mind when I was thinking about Discovery.
Right.
You didn't have any power for explosions or anything, and you just had to write between the characters. Because Discovery just seems like the writers are just impatient and disorganized. And I feel like the writers of the Orville, and even the writers of, like, DS9 and all the other Star Treks, if you put them in a box and you just said, hey, ship can't go anywhere, write me some episodes. Like, I'm going to go with the guys who wrote Duet, The Pale Moonlight, The Wire, The Visitor. Like, DS9 had some heavy impact episodes. Measure of a Man for TNG. Even the finale of like, TNG was just a good episode where he's just bouncing back and forth. Running errands. And I take it... What happened with Discovery is they came in with a concept that would have been amazing. Like, the first season, like, you could have just had Lorca just be somebody who has, like, and somebody said this online, I don't know what it is, but there's really no need, like, you could have had a phenomenal season if you didn't do the Mirror Universe.
Right.
And you didn't skip over Burnham being in prison.
Yeah.
Like, Lorca just comes and is just like, it springs her. I mean, I need your expertise on something. Work with Stamets here.
Yeah.
That's the whole series right there. Or the first season. This woman started the Klingon war that we're in. We're here because of that. We need her for something. She's on the ship. And he's like, deal with it. He's a war. Like that. That's the drama they're looking for. That's why I'm upset, because they looked past something and they went for the cheap thing. They
versus the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because, and then, like, Sanique was the captain after 3 full seasons. But yet, like, that didn't happen to Tom Paris. Ensign Rowe took seasons for people to warm up. Like, you just hurried her along. She's first officer by the second season. It's like, that's the kind of thing I would have liked to see. Like, she's captain now. Like, even Ben Sisko took 4 seasons to become captain. And, it's... They took shortcuts, and then, like, in season 2, they changed showrunners. None of the stuff made sense with the Red Angels. Also, the Red Angels around the galaxy. You can't see everything instantaneously, which I'm stealing from the Red Letter Media guys, but that's one of the things. The lack of attention to detail. The third season, The Burn. The Burn, The Burn was not a bad conceived idea.
The Burn's a great idea. It's just what it was.
Yes.
Drove at the end of it. I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is horrible.
Yes, that's. I will admit that season 3 in the future, if they could have gotten. And see, that's another thing. They just took the lazy way out. If they would have just been like, somebody was experimenting with something they shouldn't have, and that's the Burn.
Like, the Vulcans thought for sure it was their fault. And I thought, that makes sense. Let it be their fault.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
That would have been, because now the Vulcans were the most trusted, side. Now all of a sudden,
And they were the ones who, like, they were telling Earth, like, you got to slow down, you got to take your time. Going all the way back to Enterprise.
Yeah.
You know, with Archer and everything. Like, so it would have been like complete sense for them to be like, for like the galaxy to be like, you did what?
Yeah.
After you told all of us to slow the fuck down? No.
Yeah. And you know what? What's even crazier, if they didn't, because they don't understand science, you know, like, think about how crazy that would be. Like, all right, let's say it's a galaxy-wide event. They knock out, that's like you knocking out the power for your whole city.
Yeah.
And like you're only the people in your neighborhood know that you did it. Like, now you could expand on anything, because you could like use the wormhole is still in the Gamma Quadrant.
Right.
Ships could come through the Gamma Quadrant to see, same things happened here.
Yeah.
Start asking questions, been like, you know, like the Vulcans are the ones that did it. You know, now you've got the Gamma Quadrant, people from the Delta, the Beta.
Right.
You know, that would have been, you know, like a good choice.
Right. But
for story writing. Yeah.
It's like at the end of like that season, there was like such a build up. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
Like,
I just couldn't get into season 3 as much as I could get in the others. I mean, I started it and I was just like, I just couldn't, like, usually when I watch something, like, I'm waiting for it, you know?
Yeah.
And that season, I was just, remember, I was always behind.
yeah, you were always
season.
behind on that.
And I just could not bring myself
Yeah,
to get back to it. I for some reason, it just bored me. A lot of it just, I just didn't.
Well,
I
it's
couldn't get into it.
burnout because so you're telling me the universe is going to end again?
Yeah.
For the third consecutive time.
Yeah.
It should have been once, and then. All right, it's over. Now we're in the future. The burn happened hundreds of years ago. You could have put this ship in the middle of the Federation that's like trying to rebuild after 100 years, and just be like, all right, this is everyday life. Like, that would have been just something where they just were like, this is life in the 31st century, and
Let's rebuild.
yeah, let's
Like
see,
grassroots. Let's rebuild this.
You could have grassroots everything. Who's at war now? Who's friends? You could have been like, this is the craziest stuff.
Even the dissolving of the Emerald Chain, I thought happened too fast.
Yeah.
Like, the Emerald Chain would have been a great villain for seasons to come, and I can't remember what the character's name was, but the woman who was the head of the Emerald Chain.
Osira, yeah.
Osira, yeah.
Right.
Like, she would have been a great villain to have for the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, and then you have Super Michael Burnham, just kill her. Like, have her get away. Like, the Emerald Chain...
Kind of a wasted character.
Wasted bad guys.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You could just be like... Because they would be familiar with the Orion Syndicate, because they're back in Kirk's time.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they come, and the Emerald Chain... Who are these new bad guys? Now they're almost like a mafia that's even stronger. You had places to go. They just... They took the easy out. Like, let's go back to... Michael Burnham's kind of like origins. You know, she's Spock's sister. For what reason? Nothing. But even if you wanted to bring Spock in the show for any time later, you could have made something else. I even thought, my thought was, why not just make her Cybok's sister? Now you've just thrown a whole can of worms. You've thrown a wrench into the...
Ian would have been in love with that idea.
Yeah.
Because I like Cybok.
Yeah, Cybok's sister. You get to have Cybok and Spock as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that'd have been pretty cool. Actually.
Sarek. You could have Sarek too.
Right.
Then you could have Cybok's dad, Cybok's mom. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Just be like, Cybok's dad was on a Vulcan ship. Michael's parents got killed way out. And they were, like, gone for, like, 3 years. And then... all of a sudden, you know, Cybok's mom is like pregnant with him, and it's Sarek's baby, you know, and this, you know, like, dude, that would have been if you want soap opera. That's what you.
The thing that always bothered me is, like, in the first 2 seasons, her quote unquote Vulcanness was important, but the second they went to the future, like, it's almost forgotten.
Yeah,
that, like, she had that, like, she's completely outgrown that Vulcan logic and become more reactive.
But the thing about that is that never should go away.
Right.
I mean, she just did freaking military training for like, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
she did that training for how long?
Yeah.
Of her time. That just doesn't like, I'll see you later. I'm just gonna shove this back here. That doesn't work. I mean, it should be part of her daily life.
Right.
And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that the interesting part of that was like being raised Vulcan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that turmoil, that turmoil between being
how she was raised and actually being a
human, and that it was that angst.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really good. I mean, she taught to think, fight, everything. And that just kind of left. I agree. But I really liked that because I can remember telling my mom, I was like, Mom, she was raised Vulcan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's.
Think how crazy that would be if now you throw the wrench that is Cybok in.
Oh
like that would have been like they missed the kick on that part because it's just like just with making that one change. Just that one change from Spock to Spock.
Yeah.
You still have Michael. You still have Sarek. But now you bring in Cybok's mom. You could even bring in Spock's mom. She got a character you didn't even care about now. Cybok's dad, the guy that's getting cheated on.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff. And then Michael would be closer to Cybok. So she'd be on this Vulcan training. And then you have this brother who just goes on his spiritual trying to get people to release their pain.
Her humanity rubbed off on him.
Yeah, and that
explains
a
lot of what his character becomes. Yeah,
exactly.
There's a lot of interesting
release your pain because she probably would have been crying all because she lost her parents. She'd probably be crying when she gets back to Vulcan. That's the kind of thing that makes me sad. Is because I'm for having drama. It's just. They passed up the easy stuff because they thought the audience isn't going to, understand that. And that's kind of what's been digging at me. I keep trying to get back in. Like season 2, I was like, yeah, this is outside of the Red Angel thing. I thought it was going to it was a good dynamic, but then the Red Angel stuff stopped making sense. The Klingon time crystals, that kind of thing. Klingons are a whole nother story.
Right. Now, the other side of that, though, the other argument I could make is this writing team, this producing team, the team behind Paramount plus Star Trek.
Yeah.
Is their job to appease you, the long time hardcore Star Trek fan, or is their job to get new people to subscribe to Paramount Plus and draw in a newer generation of fans based upon this is what the new Trek is? Like that's
their job is to back that dump truck up full of cash. And get that. I disparage them, but they're doing a great job because they've gotten extra shows done. They're just not. I just get sad as a Trek fan.
Right? No, I understand it because it's you keep you're referencing the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
and it's funny because, like from our standpoint, from a Star Wars fan standpoint, like the Book of Boba Fett was divisive. Like, there are a lot of Star Wars fans who hate that, but there's a lot of Star Wars fans who like that.
Yeah,
it's like, the like, other than Lucas, who clearly created it all and everything else, the closest you get to that is Dave Filoni, because he was the guy who worked with George, went to create the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah,
he did Rebels, and now he's doing The Mandalorian. He's doing Book of Boba Fett with Jon Favreau.
Yeah,
so it's like, in many ways, the majority of us look at Favreau and Filoni as the people who could save Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because, like, the sequel trilogy, as much as I liked The Force Awakens and I liked The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker was a mess.
Yeah.
A mess and a half.
I'm partial to Star Wars. They messed up because Well, first of all, you had 3 different people directing, or I guess JJ coming back.
Yeah, so it's 2.
Two.
Like The Last Jedi is a square peg in a round hole. Like I've always said that.
Yeah.
As much as I love that movie, it doesn't fit.
But if you'd let him do all 3, you would have gotten
A
You
much
would
more
have had his vision.
You would have had much more cohesive.
Well, yeah, and
trilogy.
you would have had. You would have had. I think you would have. You wouldn't have had Palpatine come back. You would have had the stuff that he wanted to do. It would not have been. It would not have been a rehash. I think because it was Rian Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the studio would have just stepped out of his way,
The problem is they did step out of the way. Like,
yeah, for this movie.
Yeah, like Rian Johnson said, this is my idea, and they were like, that sounds phenomenal, do it.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't fit
What you started.
what you started. Like, I mean, it just didn't fit at all.
Well, that and they didn't. I don't want to step
And I
on
love
you, but-
I love The Last Jedi. I love the concepts that he brings about the Force and like what Skywalker's mindset was. There's a lot of that movie I absolutely love, and I love the idea of it. But it doesn't fit the narrative of what they were trying to do based upon that first movie.
Yeah, and it doesn't. It takes you out of it because when you get to that Skywalker scene, you don't expect him to toss the lightsaber.
No, not at all.
You expect him to not even say a word and just motion towards 2 young students that he's been training and kind of make them feel like, because that's the feeling you get
Right.
when you're, oh, well, this, like, I've watched the original trilogy and, oh, this is going to go in that same direction where, I was feeling like, oh, well, maybe they're just,
When I first saw that in the theater, the first words out of my mouth were, when he tossed that lightsaber, I was like, what the absolute fuck? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
I mean, I'm not expecting him to like milk a sea cow and drink it angrily in front of Rey. Like, I mean, there's, so I mean,
Like a drunken hillbilly in a barn,
yeah,
just drinking it.
straight from the tap.
I just could not. I could not get past it.
Yeah.
And when that's through the entire movie, all I can think about was him fucking tossing that lightsaber. The most sacred thing you can possibly do, and he fucking tosses it and goes for the.
But at the same time now, knowing what I know about Luke Skywalker based upon that movie, the scene in The Mandalorian where he makes Grogu decide, it shows me that he's already, all the way back then, on the wrong path.
yeah.
You could either be a Jedi or you could be a Mandalorian. Which is he going to be? And Grogu was like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Where's my Uber?
Where's my Mando? I mean, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just.
The Last Jedi was weird because I was like, because going in, I was like, please just don't be an Empire Strikes Back rehash.
Yeah.
I was just like, please don't. Because like Empire's what it needed to be, and
Right.
I just didn't like. And I know this is a common problem with Luke Skywalker, but I just do not think that Luke Skywalker would have went out like that. I mean, in a certain extent, I do.
Right.
But I think there would have been a lot more fighting from Luke just because of that side of him. And I guess that story explained it a little bit on why he shut himself off and everything like that. But at the same time, I don't know, the fan in me is going, man, give Mark Hamill his due and just let him rock some shit out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
At least,
like, Solo got to blow some shit up and have some good time. Like, give Mark Hamill his due and let him fucking take out some robots at least.
they did Solo wrong too. It's just, I think they should have just had Solo and Leia together and they should have just let the young kids take over them. Like, just have, there's no reason to have Solo and Chewie still be, like smugglers or something. Like,
It was kind of a weird revert.
yeah.
I mean, did they have to be smugglers? I mean, he's got to be rich at this point.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be. I mean, unless he's like nestled up to a fucking hooker on Tatooine or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but
why does he not have money? I mean, he should have all the money in the world.
Just leave them, just have Princess Leia and them together. You don't need to give the big cast. Just give the old cast a nod. And then Luke Skywalker's the main, like, you found him, but he's just the guy that's going to train, just be the Mr. Miyagi, and just, the young kids have to do it. I had no problem with Rey, I actually liked it. Like, Poe and all those guys, give them something to do against, the First Order, and forget about the old guy. Like, we're done.
Yeah.
This is a goodbye movie. It's on you kids now. Do all that other new stuff. Fight Snoke. I mean...
That's another problem I had. Not... The Snoke battle was probably the best battle of the movie.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, the sequel trilogy, I mean, it's filled with problems. Which
it's
like,
better than the
stinks.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, it's...
Yes.
But, I mean, like, it's still, like The Rise of Skywalker is just so... Because of the flaws of The Last Jedi being, and how it doesn't fit, The Rise of Skywalker ends up suffering because you're trying to fill in gaps and you just can't do it. And
yeah.
And it was a bunch of letdowns.
Yeah.
To me.
So you take the easy way out and it's like, yeah, Palpatine's back.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like, the whole time, and,
like a bad
I'll still
soap
watch
opera
it.
villain.
Yeah.
I mean, I still watch if it's on.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, what I'm saying is, like, the whole time you're talking, and this is we've talked about this before, and I keep hammering him on it, but the whole time we've talked about the Knights of Ren, the Knights of Ren, the Knights of Ren, the Knights of Ren. They came out like freaking bad guys in Conan the Barbarian, and, like, they were horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
This is an elite troop.
Yeah.
That could probably take out Kylo Ren.
They should have all been Force users.
Oh my God!
They should have all been using, lightsabers.
One has a battle axe, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Or you just have that moment, like...
I mean, it was a cool moment when she did the whole swap with the saber and he pulled it out. That was. I liked it.
That's why I don't hate this Rise of Skywalker, is because they were doing new stuff because we had higher level users.
Right. But I thought that moment when he pulled that out, that bag of tricks, I thought that's badass.
Like, there's a lot of good in Rise of Skywalker. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if it's on, I'll put the remote down and watch it. But at the same time, like, the flaws in it are so numerous.
Yeah.
Like, it hurts.
It hurts
my
as a
soul.
Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you guys know how I feel.
Yeah, I do. I understand.
That's why we know. We
Yeah.
understand the pain.
If you want to talk about, the pain comes at the card, but we'll get to that.
Right.
But I'm just saying, in this movie, they treated these movies like, we're never going to do more Star Wars movies, and because they told us there will not be 3 more movies, and then we got the Phantom Menace trilogies, and then they were like, we're definitely not doing 7, 8, 9,
right,
and we get 7, 8, 9,
right.
It's like, we know there are going to be more movies. Just lay the ground. That's the thing I was missing with the Star Wars movies.
I was so...
just redesign the new universe.
Right.
We're going to get 6 more movies after this because Disney's not going to spend...
$4 billion.
Yeah, unless they're going to make $16 billion.
Right.
Off just the movies.
Right.
I didn't get the same feeling from the new ones that I did on the Jar Jar Binks ones.
The prequels.
Because from the get-go, when the prequel started, I was like, my dream has come true. Ask him. Did we go to that together?
No, I went with Thad. I went with Thad to go see that.
Maybe I went with my kids.
I camped out for tickets to the first one.
Did you?
Yeah.
I
camped out, but I mean...
When that first started, the first, 5 minutes?
Yeah,
10 minutes of the movie? That saber going through that door, force using and stuff like that, I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I got chills. I get chills now. I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. This is all these years, and I finally get it,
Yeah.
And then it just went
Yeah.
right into the trash can.
How about we CGI everything, and it's like everything. You want to CGI like the whole point of the first movies is because they just felt so.
I think what lost me was the first time I heard Roger, Roger. Roger, Roger. You heard it 150 million times.
Yes.
And I'm like...
There was a whole...
it became like Keystone Cops and stuff. Like, it wasn't like... It didn't even feel like a real battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was just so weird. The second one I was okay with. There was parts of the third one that I liked.
Yeah. But what they're doing today is... They made these robots, you don't care if they got, like...
Well, that's the whole point.
Destroyed. Right? But now they have robots in these upcoming series where it's like, oh my god, like the robot in Rogue One. Like, I'm like, oh, no! You're getting shot. And it's like...
That was
you get
Alan
attached.
Tudyk, right?
Alan Tudyk, yeah. Also, of Resident Alien, which is phenomenal.
I've been meaning to watch that. I've heard it's very, very good.
Oh, you become friendly.
Wow.
I can't... There's one line in here that he delivers the only way that Alan Tudyk can, and I don't want to even spoil it for you, but it's a line he says in an episode in the middle of the season, and it's the last line he speaks at the end of this. It's going to make you laugh.
Yeah.
The same both times, and I just it is only Alan Tudyk. There's nobody else who could pull this off. And I know that seems like hyperbole, but...
No, because I think Alan Tudyk is an American treasure. He's extraordinarily
There is
underrated.
nobody else who can pull off Resident... Like, you would look at him like they're crazy, but you actually feel like he is an alien in a human's body.
Yeah.
It's great. Everybody is a character, especially the sheriff is just... It seems like he should be bland, but his blandness just lands because he's like a 6'5" tall black guy, and he just like call me Big Black. And the season he just comes in. That line just delivers because just of how everything is set up.
I haven't watched it yet. I cannot believe it. As much as I like Wash or Alan Tudyk.
Yeah. Season 2 started. I'm going to wait to binge the whole series because that's what I did with the first one. That one gets a recommendation from me, along with like Peacemaker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I finished Peacemaker.
He was from on the first season of Doom Patrol. Like at that point, I was like, Alan Tudyk's an American treasure.
Yeah, I gotta watch Doom Patrol. I haven't seen it, but I heard good things.
Yeah, that is one series that I absolutely fell in love with.
Yeah,
truly, I was like, this is the show for me. I mean, I just got into it because it wasn't all about. You start getting into these inner relationships with them.
Yeah,
and these storylines,
the quirkiness, and everything about the show. Just it's off the wall, and I mean, Alan Tudyk fit in perfectly with that first season. I mean, it's a very well done show.
That's what I mean, and that's what gets me mad about. Because I was saying the other day, they have shows like Peacemaker, Resident Alien, and Cobra Kai, but now Star Trek sucks. Like, how does that? I'm like, how does that work? How does Picard not keep everything straight? Like the series I hate.
Have you watched The Expanse?
I've watched a couple episodes, love it. It's very dense.
It is.
I have to watch it without any distractions.
Yeah, I totally recommend that.
It is one of those things where I can't have my phone on. I just have to look at the screen and have nothing and that's hard to do being a business owner because something comes up. Mm-hmm. Customer has a problem with the website, so it's very tough for me to get time to watch The Expanse.
Oh man!
But I love the first couple of episodes I went through because I even restarted them just to see what's his name. It's not Tom Papa. It's Tom. I forget his name, but he's one of the characters one of the detectives that starts out looking for Julie Mao. Yeah. And I'm just going through. I know what you're talking about. And it's just. The whole investigation,
it's so deep.
Yeah, and how he uses his shower because the water, like you start to learn everything because he's like, Of course you would go into somebody's apartment. Like, she's not using her water rations. I'll take a shower. Like,
Yeah.
that made sense to me. Like, I love the little thing. Even in the few episodes I saw, I was like, yeah, that, if I was if I was on a station where the water scarce, this chick's not coming back. I'm still investigating. I'd have a drink. I'd have a shower. Boom. That makes sense to me. World building.
Yeah. And that's the thing with that show is like,
yeah.
I forget when I picked that up 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
I
think I picked it up exactly when the 3rd season of Discovery came out because I was looking for some good science fiction.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll give it a shot, and then completely got hooked. And I was like, damn, this is I would read this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really good. Now, the 1st season, I agree with the detective and stuff like that. I wish that they were all like that because I just love that detective. But they are for a while. It goes on for a while.
Yeah.
But I like the science. I like the acting. I like the world they created. Yeah. I like the whole thing between Earth, Mars, and the guys in between. I can't remember the name, but it just made sense to me. And they're all vying for power. And it's just a beautifully done series.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't found its equal. You know what I mean? On TV, I'm just wow,
tough.
This is so fucking good.
Well, because people, and, I'll start to segue into Picard now because it's, let's just delve into it. Yeah. It really insults my intelligence.
Okay.
That's the big thing because that one was really made, that's really Star Trek for Dummies. Discovery is more about Discovery's like listening to a video, but the sound isn't synced up with the lips. It's like a microsecond behind, but you can tell. Yeah. Discovery could have been fixed, like I said, with Cybok and stuff. Picard starts off with the Romulan supernova from the J.J. Abrams films, which is a terrible add-on because of the science. The Romulans would have known. They would have had time to withdraw. Plus, they're a huge empire. Just Picard, they went with Data, which everybody knew for some reason they would. But Data got blown up in Nemesis. He's gone. And somehow, the first season goes, but, they're trying to get Bruce Maddox and everything else like that. And, outside of the opening scene when the ship comes around and, like blue skies, I love that, the opening. But then everything kind of went down, downhill from there from, the Romulans coming in trying to just, kidnap that girl. Which, the Romulans are more cunning than that. And they would have beamed her out instead of beaming in. And they didn't even have to kill the boyfriend. They could have just stunned him. Which is a big thing in this series, is how many people get knifed to death in a universe where there are there are phasers, disruptors, so many people. I was not a fan because nothing pieces together. I didn't what was the point? I didn't think there was a point for the Borg cube except to bring in 7 of 9. But I mean, if the Borg cube wasn't there, they wouldn't have needed 7 of 9. But it doesn't affect the story at all.
Yeah.
And then, I've lost my thread a little bit because I want to seem fair and balanced. I just don't want to seem like somebody who's a big hater. But I mean, I've written just kind of notes. I was just backing through, because they just picked so many for this show. Raffi is an alcoholic drunk after losing her Starfleet job. For what purpose? Just to be drab. The reason I hate Picard is because all these shows, even with the renewed Mandalorian, I feel like I'd like to live in that. I mean, it'd be dangerous, but I'd strap on a blaster and
right.
try my luck.
Right.
And that's how Star Trek used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I want to be on the bridge of that ship, but now it's Star Trek is this miserable. Like I feel bad after watching Picard, and they're doing this Romulan supernova thing, and the synth band doesn't make sense at all. It goes against Measure of a Man. They have a Romulan spy that makes it all the way to Commodore in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Did she not take a transporter once, or
yeah.
somebody just like, I know I'm just a transporter tech, but she's Romulan.
yeah.
Are you sure you want her in security? So it's just a lot of things. The ship design was lazy. The copy and paste ship fleet that kind of warped in and out. There were a lot of elements that infuriated me. At one point, they basically had the equivalent of basically a sonic screwdriver, but like for the imagination.
Yeah, that bothered the hell out of me.
What?
But yeah, no, I get it, because I thought the same thing. I thought, no, I mean,
dream about. I was like, come on.
Yeah,
and then the EMH is like, I think that guy's dying, and she just goes deactivate. Like, I'm sorry, it's the future. Like, the computer has stopped things before. Like, she's killing Bruce Maddox.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, no, nothing, everything's fine. He's like, I think he's dying. Deactivate EMH. Like, you shouldn't be able to deactivate something that's an emergency in the emergency. That really irked me for technical reasons. I mean, it would have been sinister if she, like, ripped out one of the emitters or something.
Right.
But, like, if I go through all the episodes, it's just like, it's pieced together. I also, and I don't know how to, the proposed incestuous relationship between Narissa and her brother, which is the Romulan guy. I don't know if you guys saw that, where she was like, I was like, come on, man. That's, like, really, that's over the top. But then again, that might be me being prudish. I thought that was a bit much. I will admit, I guess incestuous things could happen. I don't want to be a prude and be that guy that's like, I don't want stuff on stuff, but...
Then I wouldn't recommend Game of Thrones.
No, that's where they got it. That is where they got the stuff. That's why Picard suffers the most from being Game of Thrones, because... and why I say it's I fell asleep the first 3 times I tried to watch the Picard show. I just kept falling asleep because it's both boring and full of huge explosions. Because it's like explosions, stuff I don't care about, totally wrong stuff. Because they got a lot of stuff wrong. They find Bruce Maddox, and then he's immediately killed. Great. I don't care about spoilers. I hate Picard. For all the listeners.
But at the same time, like, I mean...
Wait. I hate to interrupt.
Okay.
They brought back Hugh from the earlier episodes.
Right.
Then he gets killed.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And I'll agree with you. Like, I liked Picard as I enjoyed it. Like, was it my favorite? No, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think the thing I enjoyed most was, like, again, that Roddenberry sense of the universe is this happy, joyous place.
Yeah.
And almost with the exception of, like, the J.J. Abrams stuff, like, that's kind of how it's portrayed. Like, the Federation's this, we all get along. And I like that there's an underbelly to it. And it kind of showed us that I like the guy who was the captain of the ship.
Rios.
I would watch a Rios spin-off show.
I liked Rios. I just didn't like any of his stories. Didn't make any sense, and that's another thing I stole from Red Letter Media because they kind of at first watch through. I'm like, this doesn't make sense, but then like when I watched the Red Letter Media thing to go over it, they really pointed out it didn't make any sense because the captain killed the 2 androids and then he blew up their ship, but Commodore O was looking for their home planet, and you kill the 2 people who could just say,
right.
hey, our planet is here, and you blew up the ship, which would also, oh, hey, the planet is here, then Will Riker couldn't stop you because the Romulans would have already blown up the planet.
Right.
Which is my gripe. Bad writing.
No, I'm not going to deny that, but like the character itself, I like that character.
And all his EMHs were good too.
His EMHs were great, and I mean, I like you talk about like the lazy design of the Federation ships and at the final battle, but at the same time, I liked his ship a lot. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. Like the one that drives me nuts, it drives me insane, is Book's ship in Discovery. That thing drives me insane. Like it's a fucking transformer.
Presto Changeo. Which...
Yeah, but Rios' ship I thought was like, this is Millennium Falcon-esque.
Yeah,
it felt like he was a smuggler. Like the whole thing, just like I was like, I'm down with this. I could watch an entire show.
Yeah, you could put a crew on that ship and be great. You know, I mean, Rios. I really don't have bad things to say about Rios because he, of all the people, he seems like he could fit into like a positive, like he's just he's somebody who could have been on the edges and just working in like the demilitarized zone. Yeah, you know. With a Maquis and everything.
But I like it. There was an underbelly to the Federation universe, but I also felt like they fell into that trap, and Star Trek does this from time to time. Like they went back to that old chestnut of Dr. Noonien Sung. Like he was like it was over the like when you watch Next Generation, there was always at least one, maybe 2 episodes about Data trying to find his father and so it was like, well, let's go back to that old chestnut one more time.
Yeah, the whole first season is about Data, and now he has a brother who never existed.
Right.
Because we need to redirect the story.
Right. And I mean, even going back to there was lore, then there was B4. I mean, it's like,
yeah. And guess what? Lore is still out there.
Yeah.
That's the thing that infuriates me the most. But what did they do? They're like, oh, instead of finding lore, which, by the way, would have served as a much better story than, oh, we went and you got to tell me, you got to make it make sense. We found that we only needed a neuron to reproduce all of Data.
Right.
Make that make sense. Instead of just finding lore, which would have been bananas. Like, the Bruce Maddox. Well, one, they should have gotten the guy who played him. He's just like some wacky teacher. Looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
He teaches now. You could have gotten him to do it again. Teachers are broke. Just offer him.
Yeah.
Offer his students something, and let the students pressure him into it. But that underbelly, like, if you don't, they just stitch so much stuff together, it doesn't work. Like the Borg in there, 7 of 9, who I really hate that what they did to her, because they're just 7 of 9 would be a rock star. I'm sorry. In that universe, she would be Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You got assimilated by the... Like, she would not... Like, her line is like, I had no friends, I ended up in the fringe. Like, I'm sorry. She would be...
Yeah.
Like, everybody would try to write books about her. Like, she would not want for anything.
Yeah.
Like, she would be on a speaking tour.
Like, yeah, like, when the Voyager returned home, they would have been like, you got a who? What? Oh, yeah.
No way, no how would she end up in those.
Yeah.
There's no way, because she was so good at several different fields of science.
Right.
She'd be able to help them with engines, shields. She would be the rock star in that future.
Yeah.
Like, she would just... be like, yeah, I don't even have time for you. Like, it would have been...
Yeah.
You would have had to done a different... You would have had to done something bigger to get her from behind her desk or something. Like, I really feel they did a disservice to her. Because she's a rock star. Like, everybody loves her, too. Like, so nobody would mind her being a rock star. That's why I said Lady Gaga. Because, like,
right.
7 of 9 fans, like, you see all the cosplay and everything. I don't think they wanted to see her like this, a monster that, blows people up, disintegrates them, and drinks, and, all that stuff.
Right.
And the only reason they had that scene where they disintegrated the other woman is because they ripped out the Icheb's eye, which doesn't make any sense either because he was still in his Starfleet uniform. Like, why would 7 of 9 have to avenge him? He was still in his Starfleet uniform.
Yeah.
Like, that woman would have been taken out by Starfleet. Like, that's some of the stuff that makes me...
Right. No, I get it.
Yeah. I've written so much. Like,
yeah.
I got so angry. I was just like, no, I had it.
I know. I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
I just saw it building. I was like, let us have it, brother.
Just let it out. I mean, there's so much. I mean, it didn't make sense. Like, the one twin jumped a whole football field to get on this. Like, she's fighting, jumps on the stairs, but from like Matrix level away. But then, as the gun's about to explode, she just like sits there and like screams and gets blown up. And I'm like, that at that point, I was like, I'm not going to like this series because it didn't make like she was like hurt, but like she literally jumped a football field.
Right.
You could just jump back to where Picard was, who got blown back by the explosion.
Right.
And you'd be all right.
She just stood there and took it.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I was like, well, she's not going to get blown up here. Like, she's going to take Picard on a journey. Which I thought, yeah. Why wouldn't she be on the ship, too? And just like, I'm looking for my sister. Like, yeah. And, like, the Borg stuff was just weird because why would a Borg ship have... Like, I was looking at it, and the Borg ship just... it just opened up, like, these huge vents to vent everybody out into space, and I'm like... What? Like when Narissa, like, and I was just looking and I was just like, I don't think the writers understand. Like, that's when I really thought, I was like, I don't think they understand Star Trek. At that point it was just Pente, where they're with Riker and Troy, and the season kind of slows down, and they have the girl that's named Kestra, which is named after Troy's dead older sister which was an emotional episode in Star Trek. And you're just like, and even in that, they're like, oh, well, it was a silicon virus that their baby died from. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is just so, everything's a downer. Like, it's a gray universe. Like Picard, everybody's saying Picard effed up the evacuation, so that's down. Raffi lost her job and is now an alcoholic for some reason in the Federation, though. Which doesn't make any sense because, yeah, losing your job in the Federation is not like losing your job in America today. Like, no,
yeah.
You just, I guess I'll go play on the holodeck until something else comes along. And why would she lose her job anyway?
Right.
Like, but that's the thing. Rios is fine. I mean, because like you said, he's just swashbuckler.
Yeah.
I get that. I bought Rios. The next thing I'm going to say is controversial, but fuck Agnes Jurati, the woman from the Daystrom Institute who got mind melded. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just don't like her as a character. Woman was nice. I saw her in other movies.
Yeah.
But that character just beyond all reason, just because she's like, no, space is stupid. And I'm like, you live in the 24th century. You've had to have gone to space. You're not Amish.
Yeah.
You had to have been in space several times. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, traveling to another world is like us going to Erie for like you had to have somebody was like, hey, we're doing something.
Yeah, we're going on vacation.
Yeah, like
something.
And she's just like, what is she gonna say? No? Like they're like, we're gonna be there in like 2 hours. Like, how can you say no? Like, the beaches go on forever. Like, come on. Like, that character made me angry because
like even just... the 15-minute trip to the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, like I remember like in First Contact, Riker was staring at the moon, and the guy said, "Well, what are you staring at?" Well, I've never seen it without like colonies on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just bare. It's weird to me. And I'm like, what? You know?
Yeah.
So like you had to have like at least made the 15-minute trip to the moon to go like, you know,
exactly. That counts as space. Yeah. Somebody you know.
Yeah.
You know,
like come on, somebody you know.
There's a borders up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something. Yeah. Something. Like so. Well, plus she's in. They have like and
outlets.
Well, think about it. They have conferences. Like you can't be a top scientist. You're telling me she never went to any conferences?
Yeah.
Or just a conference on a ship, another planet. I'm just like, that does not sound like somebody.
She's like B.A. Baracus that doesn't like to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to kidnap her to get her to a conference.
Yeah.
Sedate her.
Yeah.
Stun her.
She just wakes up. Well, how did we get on a Vulcan? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have to go through space, so...
It's a holodeck.
Please.
Did Murdoch fly me here?
Yeah.
Just get used to it.
Yeah.
And even that was better done in the 80s. Like, yeah, you knew it was coming every time. Like Agnes. Oh.
Yeah.
Or a hypo spraying.
Murdoch, you're supposed to catch him.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's something like that. Like, and I just didn't feel they missed the mark with the whole story with me. Like the Data thing, like, you know, I would have rathered it been like a continuation because now he's the same age as he was when it was All Good Things. That third Picard.
Yeah.
Just give him the beard. And just have him go off on some kind of, like, archaeological journey. Like, there's so much stuff you guys could have done where, like, because I know Patrick Stewart was like, I don't want to put on the uniform again. I'm like, great. You could have just been, like, the Professor Galen character or whatever, and just...
Yeah. That'd be, that's a good concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like, are you intrigued at least by season 2 with the return of Q and...
See, here's the thing. Even though I hate the show, I've still been keeping like an open mind because, you know, it could have just been something that didn't resonate with me.
Right.
But it's. I'll tell you this: if they take the same shortcuts, like emotionally, with Picard, they're gonna miss me again. Like Discovery did the same thing with me. With this, I know you like this season, but you got to tell me some of those episodes didn't feel like filler episodes, which is the stuff we were supposed to get rid of. Well, going from 26 episodes to 15.
Well, I've always felt filler episodes, like, unless you're doing a tight 10 or less. Okay. Like even like a 15 episode season, I think you're gonna have something that's a bit of a filler.
Yeah, but
right.
we come from a different... Like, if younger kids are listening, like, filler episodes for, like, story-long arcs are different, like, where you're just like, what the hell are the kids... Like, it's like, for kids... For younger kids, like, that are listening on the podcast, for a 24 or 26, you know, episode season, you know, it's like if somebody was running a race, and then they called, like, a 20-second timeout, you know, and they're just standing on the sidelines. That's what you say. Like, they would throw in, like, a box episode in the middle of an arc. That's the kind of filler we're talking about.
Like, but I mean, like, you know, I agree with you. Like, I mean, with a 15-episode season, if you're doing it tight enough, there shouldn't be a need for a filler episode. But I still feel like I forgive them for a filler episode if it's well done.
Yeah, I mean, there can be some asides, but that's the thing. Like, that's how, for me to give up having the 26 episode seasons where you can do all this and get character development, then I want it tight. Everything makes sense towards the plot.
Right.
If you're gonna do let me rephrase. If you're doing episodic and it's 15, I've just accepted. But if you're gonna go season long arc, and then disaster, and then it's only 15 episodes, you gotta have everything every second. There can't be any wasted conversations.
Right.
You can't dumb it down for people and break it down and be like, hey, or science, fuck yeah, or like Discovery does, or I love science. You got to get rid of all that, and you just got to go, this happens because this and this, and there's, you can have some callbacks, but it's just moving the ball along to score the goal. You gotta,
right. No, I agree. Like, I think it's tough because, like, I think what happens when you do that, all of a sudden you get to those last 3 episodes, and it's like, okay, we got to rush.
That's what's going to happen with the last 3 for Discovery. Like, it's going to be such a rushed
to finish the race.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt like it was that way with season 3 in particular. It was like we're spending 12 episodes explaining to you what the new Federation universe is. And this is what it is, and the burn and everything else.
Yeah.
And when you got to those last 3 episodes, it was like, oh, fuck, well, how do we fix this? Oh, let's do this. I'm hoping, like, I haven't completed this week's episode yet, but I was like, okay, well, I'm just interested to see where this is leading, and, like, now we're on a clock. We got a shot clock playing in the background, and,
I know.
So there's some interesting stuff going on, but, like, it's tough because it's like, you turn around and you say, well, like, Star Wars, like, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is only 7 episodes. Book of Boba Fett was, I think, 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Mandalorian's only 8 or 9 episodes. Like, so, but, and like, I even watched those, and like, there are filler episodes.
Yeah,
that's a 9. Like, Mandalorian season 2 was 9 episodes, and I could think of 2 off the top of my head that were kind of like, those are just kind of like filler.
Yeah.
They were good. They were really well done. I like those episodes a lot, but at the end of the day, that was a filler episode.
Yeah, it's just this Discovery one seems a little. There were a couple. Well, plus, we'll just think about it. Do you really feel these last 3 episodes are going to be enough to explain who's doing the DMA, find out if they can be bargained with, and then handle them? No matter what the answer is, there's no way you can do that in 3 episodes. So, what do you do? And
also, I want to know, what the fuck is David Cronenberg doing? It's so fucking important. He couldn't have been on Discovery for this. Like he was like, well, why aren't you going? Well, I got other shit going on. Well, what's more important than this? Don't worry about it. Like,
yeah, like what is more important?
Yeah. I love that. I love that character. I love David Cronenberg's character.
Oh yeah, he was good.
And I'm like thinking to myself, okay, if Cronenberg's up to something, I don't need to know what it is.
Yeah, that's.
It better be evil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it better
be a bloodbath somewhere.
It has to be, but I don't know. Like, see, that's why I lose faith in these writers, because it's just like
he's not opening a daycare.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, there's something. It's Cronenberg.
Well, he knows too much to just be a regular guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's
this show has subverted my expectations a lot, because I accidentally got a little bit of a spoiler when one of the articles like, "Oh, the changelings come back." So I was like, "Finally, the changelings are in charge of the DMA."
Yeah.
And then in that episode, it's just, oh, they're just stealing money, which doesn't make sense because they don't need money.
Yeah.
Like, he could have just changed into the guy in front of his guys and like, I'm going into the safe guys. You got any problem with that? And they're like, "You're boss, you're being weird. Just you've never asked it." Like, and then he just takes the money and is like, "Hey guys, I'm taking the money." And they're like, "Boss, you're being weird." And he can just like skip out.
Yeah.
And all of it would be accepted because he's a changeling. And no, they did this. They wasted a changeling. And that poker episode was just awful. And I'm a poker player. And I was just like... Well, because... All right. That hasn't been cool. Like, it wasn't even cool when they did it in James Bond 17 or 18 years ago. I forget when it was. I mean, it was barely cool to have poker in that movie. Casino Royale. And then to have it be in the Star Trek universe. They literally didn't even have to have poker. They didn't have to show the card game at all. They could have just showed the tension.
Yeah.
You know. That was... See, they get hyper detailed on some things and not detailed enough on others.
Right.
Because you could have just been like... All the dialogue could have said everything. Because, like, Burnham could have been losing the game, and, you know, Book could have just been talking shit to her. Like, I've got you now. Like, they could have both been talking shit to the person they beat, and then Book could have just been like, you know, this coming home with me. And she could just look. You don't even have to show. You just look at the hands.
Yeah.
Don't even have to know it's poker. Read the other guy's face in the scene, and he'd be like, he could just do like this to her, shake his head, and then she could just know she's done, and Book could just be like leaning back. None of that. You wouldn't have to. It's one of those things. That's why I say
right. I get your point about that, but at the same time, like in Star Wars, the game is Sabacc.
Yeah.
And like watching Solo, like they're playing Sabacc for the Millennium Falcon. I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Right.
I have to rely on their reaction. Whereas if you're saying it's we're even though it's the 25th century, we're still playing poker. You know, it's it's like universally accepted form of gambling.
Yeah.
It helps me at least like understand. Oh shit! This is what's going on in the game. Like
Yeah,
that's
to show if somebody's if I give you this, if you say somebody has like an improbable hand, you have to show the hands.
Right. So like I mean that's the problem. Like I mean I get your point where you're like you think to yourself, man, it's, you know, you're gonna meet other alien races that have just accepted poker.
Yeah.
Like, you know, okay, you know, it seems weird, but okay.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like when I watched Solo, like I don't understand the game of Sabacc.
That was a good.
It was well done.
Yeah.
But like when you're showing me the hand, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It's
Is
like,
it good? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a reaction.
It's like when they show a screen and you're reading it, and it's all in Arabic, the Star Wars language. I'm like, I have no fucking clue what that says. You know. So it's done me no good. You know, but there are nerds out there who've like, you know, well, in this scene, this is what it reads as.
Yeah.
And, you know, and in that the Sabbath
And that's
scene,
a good Easter egg. But like, if it's just poker, it's just like there's no need.
Is there a blaster under the table?
Yeah. So like, I get your point.
Yeah.
But my counterpoint is at least then I understood the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's that's the give and take of it.
Yeah.
And that's where you like, how do you solve that problem? Well, I don't know.
Well, one, you don't write such a bad scene where they have to. Well, first of all, why aren't they bringing? Like, I don't understand why the Federation didn't just raid the casino. They're two like, you have two suspects. I don't understand. I know the Federation wasn't there, but there are Black Ops teams. Like, that's the thing. They had a hard-on for Section 31. But what, did Section 31 just disappear in the future? There's no...
Well, that's Cronenberg.
I know. Like...
Deep down, that's Cronenberg.
Yeah, but it's still saying, we know Burnham is, like, in love with this guy. By the way, this whole season has been basically, what if TNG made a whole season about Vosh? I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Vosh going in, and... Which... this is probably a level 2 of me bashing the show, because part of me would you know, I wonder what trouble Vosh would have gotten into. But the whole series is just, what if Vosh would have went just rogue? But at the same time, you have to know that, okay, well, Burnham's gone. Cronenberg at least would have to know she's going after him. If he is really Section 31.
Yeah.
Hello, boys.
Yeah.
Go get him. Put 2, 1 and 1 in the other guy's head.
Yeah.
Bring the stuff back. she'll cry about it. Like, that's what I don't understand. There's nobody in that universe that would make that call. Like, obviously she's compromised. You put 2 in the back of the head of both those guys.
Right.
Done. Like, there's nobody in that universe.
Yeah.
The whole Star Trek universe, there's at least one admiral every season that's like, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
You know, doing evil shit. And now the 31st century, what is that one admiral the only admiral? And he's the admirable admiral. You know, he's not going to do stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a positive gripe, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the universe is just too good for that. I don't know. That's...
Well, let's talk about you.
Yes.
Yes. You. I mean, we love talking. You talk
Take a
about
break, yeah.
Okay.
I have to call.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So we took our time out there, so Ian can get a smoke and call his daughter.
Yeah.
But so let's get into the real reason why you're here. Besides all this phenomenal Star Trek talk,
It has been phenomenal.
it has been.
Yes.
Yes.
It's good to good to get it out. Better out than in.
Yeah.
You are the proprietor, the owner, the operator, the
Yes.
CEO, the head honcho, if you will, of Uncle Jammy's.
Yes. Uncle Jammy's Sauces is what, kind of started out. The LLC is the Smoky Cities 412 Barbecue. Long name, I know, but parent company. The brand is under, the sauces and seasonings are under Uncle Jammy's. And that's kind of that's the part of the company you're going to know me for, because that's the one that's kicking off. We're actually going to be looking at some opportunities to expand the name kind of in that realm. But yeah, that's where I get to play around with, sauces and seasonings and, making things taste better. And that's kind of where the nerd work comes in, because you get to work with formulas and you got stuff in Excel and yeah.
So what kind of like for what brought you to that? Like what made you say, yeah, I'm gonna make my own barbecue sauce?
Believe it or not, and blows everybody in mind when I say this, but cakes.
Okay.
You were expecting me to say Jesus or something, but I know cakes. Real short story. I worked at Red Lobster in State College, and I turned the alcoholic cocktails it was like Bahama Mama and stuff, and I would just turn it into like a swirl cake. I kind of found it online. And if you've ever made a cake with alcohol, you have to do some extra calculations, because the alcohol, even though some of it cooks out, it does evaporate, and it changes like the moisture, thing with the cake. So you kind of gotta balance it, and then doing a swirl cake, you gotta make sure both swirls, everything is the same. So there's a lot of stuff involved. So I just did that, and then one of the big football events, somebody was making wings, and just was like, "Hey, you like to be in the kitchen and cook? Why don't you make wing sauce or something?" Made our Area 51 sauce, which I'm out of right now, because I did an event at Dick's Sporting Goods this week, and it was a lot bigger than I thought.
That's good.
I was going to bring, not complaining. That's good. That's good, especially in kind of these lean times. Definitely good. I just lament it, because I was going to bring you guys. I was going to bring you Area 51, because that was, it's a neon green sauce, and it was the first one I ever, came up with, and that's what I did that first night. And I wanted to bring that with our Vaughn B starting something. You can't see it in listening land, but it's an all-black barbecue sauce. Yeah, that's not a wrap. That is actually the sauce. And I was I wanted to blow your mind, because that's kind of the stuff, that I started out with, is doing weird things like that, and weird wing sauces. Now, to get to the barbecue sauce, I listened to a customer at Quaker Steak and Lube, because, believe it or not, way back then, nobody was doing wing sauces, and I think the guy had some kind of ins, which is why I listened to him. I forget what industry he was in, but he was passing through. but he was like a regular he was probably wasn't a traveling nurse, but he was probably like a traveling salesman or something, and I listened to him because he was a regular. So I kind of refocused. I went away from doing the crazy wing sauces that I did, and I refocused my efforts on doing the barbecue sauces, because at that point, barbecue sauce, while having a high barrier for entry into the market, it had a stable market. Like once you go into like get into the barbecue sauce space and you have fans, you're going to be all right financially, because everybody buys on regular intervals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's how I got into the barbecue sauce, because I went away from the wing sauces, and then we had some like standard barbecue sauces. But I've always wanted to get back to wing sauces and stuff like that. So Area 51, which is like the neon green kind of one. And, Want to Be Starting Something is kind of me getting back to my roots of doing like a crazy just sauce. It's crazy. It's especially an all black barbecue sauce, if you guys can look and attest. I wanted to do something, I saw that Kuru burger out of Japan where they make the all black cheese, the all black bun. And that kind of stuck in my mind, which happens during the creative process. Something sticks, and I just keep seeing it, and I want to do it. And so I finally just did it on a whim. But you want to do something like, and Want to Be Starting Something, Want to Be Starting Something is a product that also uses a local beer, the Penn Brewery's Penn Dark. So, we kept it local.
I like that. I think that's really important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Working with local and everything else like that. We did a different base. This time it was tomato, mustard, and mayo for the base. Only sweetened with molasses.
That's what I was going to ask, where you got the... Yeah.
But the black comes from the same thing, squid ink.
Nice.
Yes. Instead of activated charcoal, which messes with people's medicine. So
yeah, I would see where that would come into play too.
Well, that's the black ice cream is, and all the black products are very big, but they use activated charcoal. And when I was I know you mentioned your traveling tech, and I was like, well, you'll know this. And yeah, because when I first did the research into turning stuff black, and I was like, well, that's kind of the first thing that comes up. I still don't understand how some of these ice cream shops would still go ahead with that. Like, I feel like you'd have to give somebody a disclaimer if you were going to, feed them some kind of like black, because they said activated charcoal is like really good at absorbing the medicine.
Yeah,
and so
it does.
That's what scared me off, and that's why I used the squid cuttlefish ink. It messes with your mind, especially cook based that on some chicken. Serve somebody, it'll be all black, and then you cut into the inside.
It's the taste is what I'm after.
Oh, the taste, nice, robust. The funny thing is, I brought, when I first made that, like I just brought like a test batch. A friend just had me come out to, it was like Moon, and they were having like this home brew contest. And they just had me drive out, and I literally just sold all the test bottles there because people were just so intrigued because it had beer and it's something different. It has like a nice, robust, like, I definitely would do something similar to this again.
So you're selling these now?
Yeah. That one is $20 a bottle.
Holy heck.
Yeah. But it's worth it.
Oh, I'm not saying that it's not. I will pay good money.
Yes.
For flavor.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I will go on a whim. Not a whim, but I will go out and pay good money for good food and good flavor.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And it's completely worth it.
Yeah. And I think that's the one thing.
Hands down, 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. It's worth it. The reason, things that are handmade, like, how I did, they cost that much is, it takes time. And
well, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to make a profit as well.
Yeah.
We get that.
You can't be allergic if anybody's out there trying to be a small business person, you can't be allergic to having finer items. That's the biggest problem I see is people are like, well, I don't want to charge. And I'm just like, that's not how things work. You can have lower priced items for, people that spend less, but you're just forcing the person who was going to spend more at your booth to spend less.
See, when I go, I appreciate the value because, like, for instance, I recently made surf and turf. I made fillets, and then I made shrimp to a company, right? I made like a shrimp scampi. I didn't want cooked shrimp. I wanted raw shrimp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was hard as hell for me to find Gulf shrimp. Like, I had to wait.
Yeah.
Till they came in. I mean, of course, we're in Pittsburgh, and I didn't go to Woolies, which I probably should have been.
Yeah.
But Giant Eagle gets Gulf shrimp in here and there. I didn't want overseas. You know, I didn't want pond shrimp. I wanted fresh caught out of the Gulf shrimp. I mean, I've lived down there. I know what that shrimp tastes like.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
I mean? And so I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
For that Gulf shrimp. You know what I mean?
Now, on your website, it says it's good with
popcorn. In a heartbeat.
Could you please explain that?
No, but we try to. The popcorn comes just from when I first started doing like demos. Like nobody, when you do this, you try to read as many books or whatever you want, on how to do the whole process. But there's no real kind of like manual for how to do everything. So when you're trying to get people, to sample the stuff and pre-COVID, people would grab something and just, dip it in like the barbecue sauce. I'm thinking of other things to put out.
Right.
Like I've got the pretzel sticks, which is great. Got the potato chips, and that's another great thing.
Yeah.
But then you got to think of something else that's pretty cheap to put out. And I was like, pop the popcorn. Mainly I did it for the seasonings because you can sprinkle a little bit on.
Right.
But I never stopped anybody from dipping the popcorn in the barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
So it's another one of those things that's weird. You want to just give people options and let them run with it.
Right.
I mean, that's...
Like, I would have never thought to put, like, a wing sauce or a barbecue sauce on popcorn.
Yeah.
That's just an unusual thought to me. I was just looking at the website, I thought, okay, that's an oddball thing, but let me ask about that. I got the man right here.
Yeah, he's the popcorn kid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We love, I'm trying to build a team that loves the oddball thing, that actually makes people feel comfortable, doing the oddball thing. Because, a lot of times you get people who are just afraid to venture out and do stuff.
Right.
You can imagine pitching somebody on trying to get the, an all-black sauce when it's not Halloween.
Right.
Heck, I want somebody out in the land to, have the all-black sauce and then find an injector and, stuff maybe a chicken breast with something that's really red.
Right.
And just have that.
And then your sugar count's real low in this, too.
That one, just because it's the molasses.
It's only 3 grams of sugar per. I mean, that's really good. I mean, there's a lot of sugar in some barbecue sauces.
And well, as a brand, for the stuff that, the regular stuff that I make, the other ones are kind of up. I'd say the other sauces are probably in the 60 percentile as far as sugar in some sauces.
Yeah. And a lot of organic in here as well.
Yeah, we try to do, because the first the first supermarket we ever got into was Whole Foods.
Right.
And so, their whole list of things, they were like, can you take this out? Can you take that out? And since it was just me and not a committee of people, I was like, fine, I'll make the recipes work. I'm the guy making it.
Right.
Yeah, you just X out this. You don't use ketchup anymore, which was like, that was the biggest thing. I just had to stop using ketchup and just make, just use tomato paste,
Sure.
that kind of thing. And, you just make it happen. And
This is really impressive.
yes.
So are you just in stores locally?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're coming up on our 5-year anniversary in Whole Foods, which
Okay.
will be January of 23, I think.
Uh-huh.
If my math might be wrong, we might have already hit our 5-year. I'm trying to remember. I know it's either coming up or we hit it. But yeah, we have. We got 3 here local. We're 15 total. 8 or 9 are in the Maryland, West Virginia, or not Maryland, DC, Virginia area.
Okay.
So we got a good bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But also, I mean, we have listeners from across the country and
Yeah.
and around the world.
Nice.
Yeah, we do actually.
Not many, but there's Anthony in Ireland.
Yeah.
So they could go to your website
Yes.
and they could order it as
Yes.
well and have it shipped to them.
Yes. But for your international people, and I just remember this because I have to answer an email already, but just oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, goodness. Sorry for that yawn, but we're going through it. We're going to push through it. I was just going to say, for any international people, just, if you can't find the right carrier, just message us. We'll find something. Because I think we only have one thing. I think we only have, like, UPS listed
Right.
on there. But we can figure out something else as far as that goes and redo it. So, I mean, yeah, we can ship nationally, internationally, Canada, U.S., all the lower 48s. So.
Cool. I mean, I've done a little bit of research. I've looked over your website. A lot of different flavors you got. A lot of different seasonings you've got. It's a very cornucopia, if you will.
Yes.
Of flavors that you offer. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of my influence of, the old wing sauce guy and getting the flavors, because I started out with kind of the regular barbecues, but I tend to kind of fan out into non-traditional flavors, which I like.
Right.
Which I like.
What's your favorite?
Oh, right now it's the Hooray for IPA, which I brought you guys as well. This one is the one that they used on the sandwich at Get-Go that we had last summer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yes.
That looks like it's got a little heat to it.
Actually, no, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. It wasn't meant to be. This was meant to be enjoyed by most,
Right.
if not all.
Right. You got this black bottle, which I would assume it was either going to be very mild or very hot.
Everybody assumes very hot, which I thought about doing, but I was like, I don't want to.
Right.
I want everybody to have fun.
Right.
And I did it right because my friend's kid, you should see, I have pictures where his kid is just covered in this stuff, and it's the most hilarious. An all black sauce. The kid's just covered in it, loves it. Hooray is, the same thing, beer based, Southern Tier 2 times IPA, tomato mustard mix, and.
Sorry. I love mustard sauce.
But it has more of that traditional wing sauce color. Like I said, that looks interesting. Like I said,
this looks like Carolina barbecue.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
It looks like something I would have found at like a wing sauce. Like go to Buffalo Wild Wings and this is what they're selling to the public.
Yeah.
So, but still, I mean,
I'm really intrigued by this black sauce.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I love really engaging that way and getting somebody excited and intrigued,
Because I cook, so I I'm a dipper too. I freaking it drives my family crazy. But like if we're having wings or even chicken, chicken legs, I'll have like 3 different bowls for dipping.
Nothing wrong with that.
You know what I mean? Like I dip everything.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah. I mean that's
they're both beautiful. I mean, they're both beautiful looking. I can't wait to give them a taste.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by this black sauce. I both of them.
Yeah.
I haven't been on your website, but I'm definitely going to go on your website because I think your product is.
Yeah, just go. www.unclejammys.com.
Yeah.
JAMMYS.
Yeah.
Also on Twitter.
Yeah. Uncle Jammy's PGH on all the social media. Although I'm in a fight with Twitter because I almost have just a regular Uncle Jammy's for everything except Twitter. But I'm pretty sure the Uncle Jammy's is mine. But I don't remember the email I registered it under, so I gotta. But it's registered the same time I registered Uncle Jammy's PGH. Like it's like this account started January, blah blah blah, and it was the same as every other social media account because I did it all on the same day.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
what do you like your barbecue on? Do you like your barbecue on ribs, chicken, chops? What do you prefer?
Oh my god!
As a person, that eats it, what do you prefer?
Now,
I like it on chicken, but I haven't had good ribs in a long time.
Yeah, good ribs is tough, and I think it's because we're up north. To be honest,
right?
I just don't think people have the same patience. Like I've heard that southern towns and stuff, in cities and stuff, like everybody's kind of like slowed down, kind of.
Yeah, it's just let it cook.
Yeah, you need that because up here everything's like,
right?
Low and slow is like a question instead of like the way of life.
Yeah.
So I think whenever somebody makes ribs, there's that factor in there where they're just like, is it ready yet? And then another thing is that I've been seeing is some people want their ribs falling off the bone, and other people want it just a little bit back where it's not falling off the bone, but it's like tender. I mean, I can't really quantify where I am because I think I'm probably a person who likes them a little tender and not completely falling off the bone because sometimes I like to rip and eat like one riblet at a time,
Right.
I think you could classify me as somebody who would like, just kind of just tender and still on the bone.
So if you were at home and you were making, say, I don't know, wings or chicken period, and you wanted a barbecue sauce, which barbecue sauce would you choose to put on your stuff?
That is so.
What's your go-to? Or do you just experiment all the time?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm always. It's weird, because.
Do you crack your own bottle or do you make fresh sauce?
No, at this point, I have so many test bottles laying around.
Right.
Yeah, it's. Glad I'm not married because I'd be getting yelled at. No, I literally. I have test bottles, and then I also have test bottles that a co-packer sent me. So it's like. The cracking open of a bottle doesn't need to happen because there's already something open just sitting. No, it's weird because you kind of meld eating with experimenting. When you're in this food space, I always tell people, and they always get shocked. The first thing I tell people is like, I've probably eaten some of the worst things ever, and they're like, it kind of confuses people, but it's like, yes, think about it this way. I'm not going to make dinner twice if I'm experimenting with something. So that's kind of how you have to.
Sure.
I'm going to finish it. I'm hungry, So it's that kind of mindset So, yeah, there are some times where I'll make like a sauce or a dish, and just put it together. But I'll crack open, the bottles will be open already, sample bottles. And it depends. It depends on what, because, a lot of times I'll just do like a dry rub and then a little sauce on the side.
Okay.
I kind of do like the sauce on the side and then kind of, like...
Dip.
Yeah, dip, swab, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's easier to do sauce on the side for something because it's more Southern style and like Carolinas, because they don't really sauce their meat.
No.
Yeah.
They don't. And I like that too.
Yeah.
And that's like, I've had family living in Carolina now for, my dad lived there 15, 16 years. Stepmother grew up there.
Yeah.
But I went to a pretty cool joint down there, a barbecue place, and they brought out a sheet, like a plastic tray, but they had the boats, and they would just fill the meat up in the boats of what you wanted, and then there was like 3 different sauces on the table, like a hot, a regular, and a mustard, and they would bring out their house sauce in a squirt bottle that's kept in a warmer. That's the only really warm barbecue sauce you can get. And then you can get a side of cornbread, whatever you want, But I love the aspect of, I think I'm going to put some of this pork shoulder in this mustard sauce now. And I'm going to go for the more traditional sauce now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that variety in front of me. So, I mean, like, that's what I just love about it. This is all up my alley because I'm dipping. So, I mean, like, if I had these 2 bottles at home, each would go in their traditional bowl.
Yeah.
I'd make some pulled pork, and I just put the pulled pork on my plate. And then, I mean, there's all kinds of sauces in my fridge, from Carolina barbecue to, whatever. So, I think this is really cool.
Yeah.
Have you experimented any in Korean barbecue or any Asian flavor?
It is on my list. I did have a sauce called teriyaki torture back in the wing sauce days.
Uh-huh.
And so it was a spicier kind of teriyaki style wing sauce.
Right. And with your sauces, I know I have a ton of questions, but
No,
you're hitting my area.
Yeah. Go for it.
So when you were making your wing sauces and the current sauces that you have, what I find with a lot of sauces nowadays, especially on shows and stuff like that, they're all about heat.
Yeah.
Like they want this massive heat, Diablo the Third, product of Satan and stuff like this. All this crap, Red Death and stuff like that. But I feel that, like for me, I've eaten some of that, but it loses flavor. Like you're so worried about the heat in your mouth that you miss out on the flavor and the fine hints because you're worried about eating a piece of bread or something to calm down the heat. I'm more about flavor than I am heat any top of the day. I'll take heat. I'll take a creeper heat.
Yeah.
But as long as I can taste that flavor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to crush my belly.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I go for. I mean, I'm working on something. Well, that's what I do. Like I have a sauce here. It amuses me. Ground habaneros in there, so it's spicy. But it wasn't designed to crush you. I mean, it kind of pairs well. It's it's a fruity barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Pears, mango, peaches. Kind of go in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's not the thing.
Not the design of the barbecue.
Yeah, it's not to burn your ass off. It was just something to kind of habanero's fruity. You mix it with the other fruits, it's going to pair. It's going to do very well with the flavor and everything. The heat is just a byproduct that comes along with it.
Right.
Same thing with I'm working on. I did a sauce. It's codenamed Royally Screwed. I don't know if it's going to end up, being like that, but. I did a demo for the guys at Recon Brewing, who good friends of mine. We do like beer collaborations where I get to go in and do the beer, and I gave their staff version 1 of the sauce, and it was a Carolina Reaper sauce. I didn't put in that many, but next time I'll probably up it a little bit. But it wasn't meant to like burn their faces off. Like it was like Reaper, and it was mainly like I wanted to work with cactus pears or prickly pears, and so that's the main makeup. It was that. It was like prickly pears, a little dragon fruit, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm impressed by your cooking chops.
Yeah.
I mean, you really experiment with a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
you gotta go. I'm gonna go for it. Like this sauce right here, I'm gonna make. I've been talking to my Copac, and I was like, hey, can we barrel age this? And I'm trying to up. Like I'm thinking if we barrel age it, we can get like $35 a bottle for it.
Sure.
With the bourbon and everything. But it's like that. Like you gotta go for it. You can't just like once you get over being afraid to charge a price point.
Right.
Now you can experiment. Like I remember with the Royally Screwed, I had like pomegranate molasses in there. I had a lot of different things that bring like flavor, and so you can risk with stuff like that. I think on the next version I might actually add starfruit, carambola in there too, because I'm gonna add blood orange. Blood orange really balances the sauce out, so it's either gonna end up being a wing sauce or when I go to experiment on the hot sauces. I'll have to reverse it and have more Carolina Reaper, but have like the aftertaste be the sauces,
Right.
like the fruit.
I mean, a lot of people love that heat. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm starting to sweat with even a little bit of heat. I mean, of course, I like wasabi, but mixed in soy. You know what I mean? Because I enjoy sushi. I even like dipping steak in. Depends on what kind of steak, but I like steak. Just a quick dip in wasabi soy. But even at wasabi, I mean, wasabi is hot. It's not as hot as a lot of sauces and stuff that are out there. You know what I mean? But wasabi is, with a good mixture, I can get that sweat without. I can go, that was a good one. I think I got a piece. But at the same time, I just drink my drink and move on. Yeah. With a lot of the hotter wing sauces, though, I'll eat it and I'm like, I'm so worried about the heat that I don't enjoy my meal. And for me, that's just my heat level. Now, some people, they can eat a grade 6 or 7 hot sauce and they're like, yeah, keep bringing it. But
Thad.
Yeah, he can kill it.
We all have friends who can do that. And it's great. But you could burn yourself out just trying to make stuff for them. I mean, it's great. It's great when they they enjoy it. But I'm not. At no point do I want to, make it something so hot that they can't have it. I mean,
like the real thing behind wings and bars, I'm convinced, in restaurants, and the hot. You get these people getting all these hot wings, and the more they're going to drink, they're just going to pound beer. I mean, that's the whole. That's the whole reason behind it. But as I've aged, I'm more flavorful. I love different flavors. That's why I'm excited. I want to get on your website and look.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated. I know I keep picking up the bottle, but I'm fascinated by this squid ink barbecue sauce.
Yeah, it's
crazy
great.
to me. I've never seen anything like that.
They bring different stuff, just squid inks and stuff. And before I forget, I kind of was trying to put together sticker packs. I didn't know what I gave for you guys, but stickers. I didn't bring any magnets. I'm sorry. Or at least I don't think. I was rushing to get everything together. But yeah, I have some leftovers from the black and gold pack that we're going to reuse. But we had some stickers and stuff.
Yeah, cool.
We're actually going to have stickers on the website. We have a QR code for the commercial that we did with GetGo, which was insane for the like the sandwich and the collaboration.
Yeah.
I worked with Chef Tom over at Get Go. He's a great guy. I was a very disruptive influence in the kitchen because, you get to go to the Get Go kitchen, and then it's literally everything.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're talking about even the alcohol slushies, which I was able to partake with all day that I was there, which was probably not the right thing to do when you're trying to keep everything together in the kitchen, but that could have helped with my disruptiveness. But I was just
test kitchens are fascinating.
Yeah, yes,
like when I worked for Eden Park, I went into management, and I had to go back when the headquarters was up by the airport, and we got to tour the test kitchen and stuff, and I was what was interesting was he had to have in that kitchen every single type of equipment that's available at the different restaurants. And my restaurant had very different equipment than a newer restaurant does have in opening up. Because they had the clamshell grills and stuff, and we had none of that. So he's got 3 different setups for 3 different types of kitchens that are out there. And I was for somebody who was if you're a chef, somebody who it's like a playground.
Oh yeah,
you know.
That's the same thing
all
with
the
Get Go.
oddball stuff that he gets. So I can imagine Get Go's the same thing. And you have the vendors coming in trying to sell you on hey, this is our new product that we're offering. We think it'd pair great with this on your menu or this on your menu. And oh wow.
Oh, he was showing me everything.
Yeah.
I mean, just all the bread choices. First of all, they have all the coffee. If I was a coffee drinker, I'd been crazy because they had all the coffee, all the the Monin syrups, everything was there. All the ingredients to make the whole menu. Plus all the other stuff that he's thinking about bringing on.
Yeah.
So many different types of bread types. We could have stayed. I mean, we were doing. Obviously, we couldn't stay for everything because it was the commercial shoot, and if this were this was a Zoom thing, we could go through and show you the commercial and everything right on there. But all the different shots, I'm trying to the one shot you see me ladling something on the sauce, and I had to do it left-handed because of how everything looked. Yeah. But I mean, I was I can do it. Yeah. The way they were shooting, and then obviously there's gonna be. I laugh because every time I look at everything they made us redo, because we did say our goodbyes and everything, but the camera angles were off.
Yeah.
So they were oh, well, could you switch places and say that all again? So I'm say the exact same thing I said, and then I had to fake my hello and goodbye, and then there's one shot where they didn't use because I kept going in and out of the door, taking stuff from the car, and then they had me walk by a sign nobody would walk by because it's so far, it's so far away from the building I'd never be walking by it, but I'm all right, I guess, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
how
it's one of those things you find out how fake shit like that is.
Yeah.
Especially when you I remember watching and it's a completely odd thing, but that what's the Bruce Willis movie?
There's a lot.
Well, the one that was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Oh man, jeez.
But anyway, at the beginning of that movie, there's a major car chase. If you know anything about Pittsburgh, that car chase could have never taken place.
Oh, yeah.
So it's we need you to walk past that sign even though it's nowhere near where you would walk because it looks good.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with that car chase. I'm watching going, well, none of these roads connect to anything where near each other.
They're going opposite on one way.
Yeah, but it looks really fucking good, so I get why they did it. But so it's the same thing. That's how fake shit like that is. Just we know it doesn't make any sense, but it will.
Do it for continuity, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then we had to make. We had fun because Chef Tom did a lot of stuff. We had to make just all the food because then we had VIPs, they had their special employees there too, and then Brett Kiesel was there. Yeah, Brett Kiesel was there. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Because it just kept my segment because I filmed my segment in the kitchen that where I make my stuff. So they were just oh, let's film you there, and then Chef Tom filmed his on the upstairs of the Get Go offices where I didn't get to go, and then we filmed some stuff with like Brett Kiesel out on the patio where I definitely have had drinks when it was the restaurant. I was like looking right where I had margaritas before is somebody's desk.
Yeah.
Because they turned a restaurant into that, get go locate corporate office, and the kitchen is the test kitchen. So memory lane.
Yeah.
Talking, going down that, but no, it was.
But then you got Brett Kiesel.
Yeah,
Super Bowl champion Brett Kiesel.
Yeah, and he's there. Brett had fun. Well, hey, anytime he wants to get together, I'll make food. I don't care. I know Brett Kiesel had fun. But I mean, it was a fun, overall day, just kind of doing stuff like that. And that's the fun thing, about progressing and reaching out and doing stuff like this. To get to that point where you had to sandwich and get going, we were doing other things because I mean that counted as one of their pre-screening kind of sessions for new food.
Right.
Because we did, like the brisket burrito, which I think, was, it was Tom's idea and it was great. And then we did Area 51 on a sourdough kind of thing. I mean, that was the least favorite thing, but I always think that was good. And then he did like a rice bowl, and we did a lot more stuff than we presented, because we also did a double-decker sandwich where, one of the patties was meatloaf instead of meat,
No, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the first thing I had was at King's, like in Pittsburgh. We went to King's and I had them, sub meatloaf. Yeah, I did that at a King's, and it was freaking delicious.
Yeah.
That kind of thing,
I grew up on that meatloaf. That cold meatloaf, you slice and you throw it right on the
It's good.
Right
It's good.
Yeah.
Hey, I recommend, definitely if I have a restaurant, I'm definitely doing kind of the half meatloaf, half regular, double cheeseburger. Because it's just the difference between the two meats makes the sandwich.
Yeah.
Because you don't, logistically, when you think about it, they're both beef, but it's like just enough just to taste different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Consistency, especially.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So.
I always like meatloaf the next day anyway on a sandwich.
Exactly. So
Right.
We did a lot of stuff. Get-Go was fun. I hope to, rekindle, kind of the magic we had. The sandwich kind of got, it didn't do as well because, it was the pandemic. The sales were down. But I'm hoping the next thing we do together, it goes through the roof. And I definitely go back whenever the restrictions are lifted. I definitely would work in the kitchen with, Tom. It was fun. We were exchanging emails all the time. There were so many sandwich concepts that I sent him. He must have thought I was a madman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely a win for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this is definitely awesome. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, for the stickers, for the sauces. This is.
We'd like to have you back on, too.
We'd love to have you back. I love to have you back
Nerd
on.
Talk is phenomenal.
Maybe after Strange New World, have you on and get your take and.
Sure, yeah, a couple, this is a nerd podcast. I get to nerd. I don't mind nerding out, so, if you feel, you just message me if you want me to check out any series. I can't, there's no way I'm going to get, The Expanse done. That's a no-go. I don't have enough hours, enough uninterrupted hours. That's the thing I hate, is I have to keep my phone on in case there's just the sky is falling, and that usually happens.
I would recommend, and you may have already watched it, but the reboot of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh no, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Even though here's the thing, it's amazing because one of my favorite Star Trek writers is
Ronald D. Moore.
Ronald D. Moore. Yeah. I've noticed a lot of the episodes that he writes are things that I like.
Yeah.
He's involved with it. It's a well-done series, despite me having a lot of objections from the stuff they didn't do. But it's well written and it's well acted out. And it also helps that I watched it 8 or 9 years after everybody else. Because I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I remember a friend asked me to go, and I don't know why I said no, but they were like, "Oh, well, they're gonna have like food and stuff." I don't know why. I still don't know why I said no. It was a nerd thing back then, and they were like, "Yeah, we're going," and I was just like, "No, I'm just gonna chill here," for some stupid reason. But and I still regret it because I probably would have watched it when it was happening, but no, like because they did the 2-hour premiere. That was real stupid. I should have went. No, I should have watched some of the pre-stuff, definitely. But I mean, yeah, like Battlestar Galactica is like that.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
Like that was. And I want to wrap the show because we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes. But like real quick, like I went into that show hating it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, how dare you take this show from my childhood?
Yeah.
This show that I held dear, and Starbucks a girl. How fucking dare you? And I watched the pilot, the two night pilot.
Yeah.
And got completely turned around by the end of that thing
because
it was so fucking good.
Edward James almost is so good. Like you basically got Cobra Kai, which is what I'm gonna call stuff now because I mean they same thing.
They took that uber basic concept of what Battlestar Galactica was in the 70s and they turned it into this amazing show about politics and religion and life and everything. And it was just like, how the fuck? And it's a science fiction show.
Yeah.
Which is and it was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if you get at the right set of writers, like you can do that.
Like to the point, like the ending of that show, as controversial as it is, I think is brilliant. And like even like spoiler. That moment where Starbuck jumps the Galactica that last time. And you can see her breaking apart. Like her back is breaking. And like the parts are falling off onto the moon. I was in tears. Because like that ship was as much a part of the show. Like the heart and soul of the show was like this museum, what was supposed to be a museum piece. This battered old Battlestar that was supposed to be retired.
Yeah.
Was our last hope. And she finally gave. And it was like, I was in tears because of that. Watching that ship break apart. But then it's like, the camera pans up. It's like, oh, she did it. She got us there. She got us home.
Yeah.
Fuck. That was amazing.
Yeah. And
I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it.
I know.
I know.
And that's what's kind of missing in, some of the shows we talked about is just, you don't set the table for that. That doesn't happen, if you don't hit on certain notes,
But that's also really hard to create. I don't know how to describe that because Battlestar Galactica had I think it was 4 years. It ran for only 4 years. It told the story that it had to tell, and. But it's something that's very hard to hit on. Like we always talk about, going to a movie theater and have a Baptist revival moment where you're just like, oh, and the same thing with I think back to the first season of The Mandalorian and the X-Wing shows up at the season finale, and the lightsaber, and you're watching. I'm just I'm standing in my living room, just
I stood up too. I couldn't sit down.
I couldn't sit down because I was just this tears rolling down my face because it's this is amazing. I can't believe they're fucking doing it. I can't believe that was fucking Red 5. And it was showing, and that I think pulling that emotion out of you is something that's really hard to do, and I don't think Star Trek has ever figured that out over the years. They've done amazing shows, but I've never had that type of emotional attachment. Maybe in Star Trek 3 when they blew up the Enterprise.
I think, some of it Wrath of Khan, when Spock dies, but by the time I'd watched any of those movies, we already know there was a 3 and a 4.
Right.
And, so it's different.
I saw those in the movie theater, though, so, like, it was a little different for me.
Yeah, Spock dying, possibly.
Yeah, Spock dying. I mean, that I will admit, like,
if
even today, that scene gives me...
I still... Going back to... What's his name? I agree with you, like... The Spock dying, because when I saw that in theater, I was crying in the theater.
Yeah. When he straightens his
when he's like
tunic out before he turns around.
Together,
because he's gonna talk to his captain. I mean, shit like that, just like I'm done.
Yeah.
But
I like, and I know you hate the movie, but when Cyborg turns around and goes, "What does God need with a starship?"
I was like Kirk.
Oh yeah.
Kirk says that. Yeah.
When he says that, and he turns around and says, "Tell me about your pain." You know what I mean? Like that was like a moment to me. I was like, "He's gonna die," and I love that character. He's one of my. He's very revered to me. Ask him.
As bad as that movie is,
I love it.
Like we both agree. Like that character would have been much more interesting.
That guy.
That gets to the crux of everything. He's not a mustachioed bad guy.
Yeah.
But he's an antagonist because he's hijacked the Enterprise. That's if anything can like round out how I feel about the people who write Picard, Discovery, and the new Star Trek movies is they don't know how to have somebody like Cyborg, where Cyborg at most is just misguided.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they don't know how to write that. Where it's like Cyborg's not like I'm gonna murder you or anything. Right. Like he showed concern for the captain, for people getting hurt, like Scott. Like he just was like, I'm just trying to.
Well, it's the villains you loved. What is it? The villains you love to hate.
Yeah.
Well, or the villain that when you sit down and you think about it, like, maybe they were right. He's Thanos. I mean, Thanos is like, I don't agree with how you're going about things, but you bring up some very interesting points.
Yeah.
Killmonger in Black Panther.
Yeah.
You're going about it all the wrong way, but you bring up some interesting points, that are worthy of discussion.
Exactly.
So, like, those types of villains, like, are the types of villain I love. That's like, I get your point of view, but did you have to wipe out half of the living?
And with Cyborg, you're taking out the whole wipe out the half thing. He's just like. He's basically just like brainwashing people, but they're not. The temptation for them to write something else along with him, just like they'd be like, "Oh, there's no way they can just be happy, brainwash people. They have to like murder half the staff."
Yeah,
and that's where they would lose it, and that's why I I don't mind Cyborg either. Like, I still watch Star Trek V if it comes on because there's some redeemable bones.
Yeah,
There was meddling with the script from the studio, so I understand you can only work like that. So no, Cyborg is a good villain. I mean, you can't even call him a villain. He's an antagonist.
He was just out of all the series, all the movies.
Yeah.
He was probably my favorite. One of my favorites.
Yeah, because he wasn't trying to kill. Like, Khan was trying to kill people, but he was trying to get... I mean, he got stranded on a planet and lost everybody. So you could kind of see that, but still not in the same way. Krug from Star Trek 3 was, I mean, I love Christopher Lloyd's great, but he was just over the top, just, Klingons doing Klingon stuff. But I loved it. But I mean, he's just that bad guy. That's just what we're talking about. He's just like, no yielding.
Do you like Plumber?
Oh, I was just thinking about him the other day. I watched a video today because they were trying to seeing who to recast if they were to do the movies again, and you can't recast Christopher Plummer because and they mentioned some really great people, but he was just so spectacular because he went for it.
Yeah.
Like, he's just... Because he's, there's no other way to say it. He's just hamming it up and going after the role. But he's not he's quoting Shakespeare. He's not a mustachio bad guy. They're trying to keep.
I liked his acting because I felt like it was something he read. Like when he was saying that, he was compassionate about what he was saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the actor.
It wasn't
but
just...
it was like it made sense because it's the stuff that he had learned and read and stuff like that.
That whole thing, and he's Kirk, this is how you wanted it to be anyway. Yeah. 2 warriors, 1-on-1.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, he was actually, you can see him, like, it's almost him, like, being able to speak his mind and his chops to someone that's going to understand him versus other, you know what I mean? Like, because it's going to fall in, the needle's going to break if he says that somewhere else. They're like, what?
Yeah.
But now he's talking, he has an audience, is what I'm saying. Yeah. And I felt the actor really portrayed that. Like, not as Christopher Plummer saying it, but as him saying it.
General Chang going in there.
Yeah.
And I really...
It was just well acted. It was just really well.
Yeah, especially when he's in that courtroom and he's just like, don't wait for that translation, answer me now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, that's... you want a bad guy like that he's in on it. The fix is in, but he's playing it up to the crowd. Like, these guys are the guys. This is why the Chancellor died. Even though he's the guy that did it, he is, and that's just unbelievable. Like, because that makes the twist even more deadly. Because you don't, you're not going to say that guy's in on it.
Right.
Like, that guy is trying to get the conviction, but, if you were to show that to some kids, that obviously, they might not get the Valeris thing, the Vulcan, but they're, they would have guessed anybody but those kind of people.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's magnificent. Undiscovered Countries, it's a good film. Obviously even Star Treks get the love. But you don't realize, one of the best trilogies in sci-fi is 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
Because the continuing story.
Right, and what's amazing about 2, 3, and 4 is it wasn't planned that way.
Yeah.
They just kind of like, well, we're making another movie, we got to connect it to the last one.
Yeah.
That's like, you're right, it's like one of the greatest trilogies in sci-fi, but it was completely unplanned, and when you look at it, you're like, it's like, wow, it fits together so well.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like 3. I like 3. Like, I don't think 3 is as bad as many people will say.
3's just a letdown because there's not much... Because 3's a box episode.
Yeah.
If you think about it. 3's a box episode. That's why people didn't like it, because they're at a planet, and they stay at that planet.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah.
The planet just destroys itself, and then they're on the Klingon shit, That's why people didn't like it, because it's a box episode.
Right, but it's like, I like it. I mean, I think you're right about, Christopher Lloyd would maybe a little too over the top. But I expect that from Christopher Lloyd. But at the same, I like that. I like that movie. I don't think it's as bad as many other people will say. And then
Christopher Lloyd was just a touch too evil.
Yeah,
because
he's trying to go over the top of Ricardo Montalban, which why even trying that?
Yeah, you're sandwiched in between that, and then 4 was lovely because, again, there's no mustachio bad guy.
No,
you're playing against the clock, so that's another reason I revere kind of the writing now, because you're telling me those people can write. Like, if you think about it, 4 and 5 are back-to-back movies that don't really have the the Christopher Lloyd kind of bad guy.
Right.
And there's no way they could write back-to-back movies like that today. There's no way. They would get ADD lost and just, well, something's got to blow up.
Well, I don't know. Like, I look at... You look at the Kelvin verse.
You're gonna say it, but let's.
Well, no, I think Cumberbatch failed as Khan.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. but at the same time, like, he's not the villain. He's the antagonist. The villain
Is
Peter Weller.
Yeah, RoboCop.
But I think Star Trek Beyond is probably the best of those three movies, and probably gets closest to what you would think or what you want from a Star Trek movie.
Yeah, it's. Although I didn't understand, I mean, I kind of understand what the bad guy was saying. Into Darkness was just a complete missed opportunity because obviously Cumberbatch shouldn't have been Khan, but he should have been Gary Mitchell.
Yeah.
He should have been Gary Mitchell.
Yeah.
That would have been a fantastic movie. Alice Eve should have been, rest in peace, Miss, Somerville. She just died, I think, yesterday. Alice Eve should have been that character.
Yeah.
Those two, because Alice Eve is a good actress. If you haven't seen the second season of Iron Fist, she's literally the best, and hands down the best thing in that second season. Like, she kills it as Typhoid Mary.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still mad that we're not gonna get another. Like, I was like, I'm waiting to see the transformation,
right?
Because she's just playing it so well, like. But that kind of thing, it does. Into Darkness misses, and like Beyond kind of makes up for it, except. We've already seen the ship get blown up 3 different movies.
Right. That's
why it is. You go back. If they hadn't done the blowing up ship in the first 2 movies, and Beyond hits a little bit differently, because then you're like, oh my god, because the person's like, Kirk's Enterprise got blown up too, and then you're back into it.
Right.
And then Beyond becomes a different movie altogether. Like, I think if they had came out of the gate with Beyond, like. And then the other 2 movies are like flashbacks. Like, if they came, like, it would be something it'd be ridiculous to do. But if they didn't do like an origin movie to like the second movie, like Beyond was the first movie, everybody's minds would have been blown. And then they would have been like, all right, well, the second movie will do like almost like The Godfather 2, where there'll be like the origin story, and then like that other part of the story. Idea. Yeah, that would have been...
Yeah. That would have been cool.
That would have been insane.
No, I get your point. Like, like I said, I mean, In the Darkness is a flawed movie that I still like.
Yeah,
because
it still spoke to you about things. It's not... See, that's the thing. Like, when somebody says...
There's that moment, like, when Kirk... Like, cause, they do the flip around with Kirk and Spock, but as the ship's falling, and it's falling, and it goes through that cloud cover, like you're just like, well, she's, and then that music hits, and she rises up because Kirk saved her, and it's just like,
there's some beautiful moments, in all of the movies, and I have ups and downs, like. I'm not as angry at the movies as I am at, like, Picard. Like, I was annoyed at the Kobayashi Maru in the first one, because that was supposed to be a watershed moment for Kirk, where it's supposed to be one of those things. It's supposed to be like the movie Real Genius, where they do something really spectacular, but they don't get away with it because he's like, I'm going to expel you or whatever. Like, but it's like something that we all find, like, it's like totally cool, Like, I forget some of the cool stuff in Real Genius. I know they did like the ice thing, but the popcorn, yeah. It'd be something like that. Like, it's a nuisance.
Putting the kid's car in his apartment,
right? But you're still getting in trouble.
Yeah,
it's impressive, but you're getting in trouble. That's the Kobayashi for me. The Kobayashi Maru. When they did that was kind of. I mean, it wasn't game over, but I was like, come on. Because he's just sitting in the chair, eating an apple. Like, when I think of the Kobayashi, him beating it, I think of him just doing something bonkers off the wall, like ejecting the warp core immediately as soon as they the ships arrive, and he's detonating it in between the ships, and then tractoring the Kobayashi Maru home. That's kind of the stuff I think, like, that would still get you to fail the test.
Yeah.
But it would be like a unique solution where the professor would be like, well, I didn't think of that, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, don't they establish in 2 that he cheated?
Yeah, but that's
the
thing.
He completely cheated, so, like...
No. Well, the way they establish it is he technically cheated, but it was so creative that they let him pass.
Okay.
That was the whole thing. That's why it's kind of sticks in my craw. But I mean, that wasn't a deal breaker for the movie. Is what I'm saying. Like, it's a nitpick, but it's not a deal breaker. But it's like, but that's when you kind of mess with somebody's, because that's characterization. Because that then goes to set up, you know, into, I don't believe in a no-win scenario. So that's how he gets to do all this stuff where, you know, you tell the false codes and stuff.
Right.
It's characterization. That's why, and so you kind of, by taking the easy way out, you kind of cut Kirk's legs off from under him, because now people don't, like, the Kobayashi Maru doesn't. It's almost a hard thing to put on a film, because you really can't stand up to it.
Right.
Like, because now people are just going to think of him, you know, doing, it's almost like a magic trick almost, like, or like he's eating that apple, you know, it doesn't seem quite as, like, clever. And so when he does something, when they call back to it, they're not going to think like The Amazing Escape or anything else like that, you know. It's just, it seems a little routine, but, you know, I just think for callback's sake, they should have tried a little bit, either a little bit harder or at least to obscure it. Because then when the guy goes to Spock, how did he beat your test? If you got something outrageous, then Spock says, I don't know, like, build something there. Because then Spock's, like, Vulcan annoyed, you know, and he's not searching. Instead, you know, Kirk gets caught immediately, and it's just, like, expelled, you know. It's like, but, you know, it kind of puts in your mind where it's like, you know, you see Spock going through the machine, like, you can see him with, like, wires and flashlight looking. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff I wanted to, like, if you do it a little bit different, that's the kind of feeling you get. You're like, Spock's, like, real pissed, and then he finds, like, the one thing Kirk did, and then boom. It's, you know, it's the slow build. Yeah.
Jamal, this has been amazing.
I know. Yes.
No, I mean, I could talk to you all night.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we got to wrap it up.
All right, no problem. Well, just for next time, you know, if you guys email me something, if it's a series I can get through, like, at least to see, like, Peacemaker, you know, I get the, you know, I can, like, watch and stuff on my phone on. You know, I will look out for. I promise I'll watch Strange New Worlds when it comes out.
Okay.
I promise I'll finish Discovery, the last 3 episodes, but we all know they're gonna rush through them.
Right.
And I forget what else. If you guys name something else or a couple other things, I can probably get done on the sci-fi thing. Definitely gonna nerd it out. I don't know if I don't know when Doctor Strange comes out, but it looks weird.
Yeah, we didn't go down that tail.
Yeah, we haven't gone down that.
I'd like to have you back on just to go down that Marvel rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you, I loved Spider-Man No Way Home. I know we got to get off, but I'll just say I loved it. Won't go into anything, but I loved it.
Me too.
So again, what's the website?
UncleJammys.com. Jammys is spelled Jammys. UncleJammys.com.
Check out the website. Look, I mean, there's going to be something for you to buy. They have you've got a lot of flavors, a lot of interesting flavors, a lot of traditional flavors. I was looking at something with like a garlic butter type of deal, which looked amazing. So check it out. All sorts of good stuff there. We highly
you guys are going to be able to do testimonials. I'm going to do this stuff with you. So
exactly. And so check it out, please. And as far as we go, if you want to send us an email, you can certainly email us at pittsburghnerd@yahoo.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. And We are a member of a number of podcasting networks. You can find us on the Tangent Bound Network, the Weeby Geeks Network, or as Jamal found us, at the Pod Breed Network. Just give them a Google search and you'll find all the other great podcasts they have to offer. And lastly, as always, I want to thank you, especially if you've stuck this one on. It's been a long trek, but a good one. We can't thank you enough for taking the time to enjoy our hijinks and or shenanigans, whichever it is that you prefer. And on that note, the dreamer has awakened.
Peace.